Good afternoon slash evening. I hope that you are enjoying today. Let's get ready to rumble.
Hi, I'm Lynn Gray, Chair of the Hillsborough County School Board. I want to welcome you to Hillsborough County Public Schools. We serve more than 200,000 students. That includes children in preschool through our adults in our workforce program.
Hi, I'm Dr. Stacy Hahn, the Board Vice Chair. Our district is the 7th largest in America, and our team is made up of more than 24,000 people working at nearly 250 sites across the county.
We are diverse and dedicated. Our board meetings are held in our board auditorium on select Tuesdays at 4 p.m. The best way to serve our students and our community is to involve you, the public, in what we do.
You are welcome to email or meet with any of our board members and follow our district on social media. Board meetings are covered live by Hillsborough Schools TV on Spectrum Cable Channel 635 and Frontier Cable Channel 32.
Meetings are streamed on our website at hillsboroughschools.org. Closed captioning is provided on all broadcasts, and past meetings are available in our online archives.
We are interested in what the public has to say. We'll include time for audience comments before we address our business items. Our agenda and any supporting materials can be viewed online in advance. They're posted 7 days before each meeting on our website at hillsboroughschools.org.
Our vision is preparing students for life, and that means all students, every day. Todos los estudiantes, todos los días. Thank you for your interest in education. With your help, we're making decisions that shape our community's future.
The board meeting of November 16th, 2021 is now called to order. A moment of silence. Member Hahn?
Please join me in a prayer this afternoon. Loving and gracious God, you are indeed the giver of all good gifts, and we thank you today for your blessings. We thank you for the successful outcomes of our schools and events, our students, families, for teachers, principals, and staff, and support members. We ask that you bless them abundantly, and we continue to seek your wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Be with us in our deliberations and help us to be wise in the decisions we make for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in our leadership. Give us insight to lead with integrity, that our decisions may reflect what is right and good. Keep us from short-sightedness and pettiness. Help us to make decisions that are for the good of all and guard us from blind self-interest. Dear Lord, grant us the humility to always seek your will in all that we do and say. All glory to be you. Amen. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have one withdrawn item today, 617, Amendment 3, with EduPoint Educational Systems, and that is withdrawn. I need a motion and a second to adopt today's agenda. I have a motion by Member Combs and a second by Member Vaughn. Will there be any discussion? Seeing none, please vote when your lights appear. Thank you, board members. Let the record reflect that all board members are present, either in the boardroom or by remote, and we are all here in the boardroom. We have 5 sets of minutes to be approved today. September 9th, 2021, the school board workshop. September 21st, 2021, School Board Workshop. October 5th, 2021, School Board Meeting. October 19th, 2021, School Board Meeting. November 2nd, 2021, Special Called School Board Meeting. I need a motion and a second to approve the minutes. I have a motion by Member Perez and a second by Member Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote when your lights appear. Thank you, Board. It's unanimous. Board members, I would like to go over the format of today's meeting. For precautionary measures, we are limiting attendance. We are practicing social distancing as much as possible. So we ask that guests in the boardroom keep one chair open between families. As a reminder, we are a nonpartisan board who believe all children can be empowered to learn to succeed, and our decisions will be made with that understanding. To pave the way for efficient and effective agenda statements and/or questions, board members will have 3 minutes to speak with 30 seconds for final thoughts. Afterward, the superintendent can respond. If you have further questions, you're asked to get back in the queue. Member Hahn, will you now read the board guidelines?
Thank you, Chair Gray. As we begin this afternoon's meeting, let me quickly review the format of our school board meetings. Please silence all electronic devices. There are speakers in the room behind me that allow board members to hear the meeting upon stepping away from the dais. And this meeting can be viewed closed captioning on the live webcast, on cable TV, and on video monitors here in the auditorium. It can also be viewed with closed captioning on the online video archives.
Thank you, Member Hahn. We have one item scheduled for time certain. 6 p.m. will be for employee input. Public comment. The board welcomes comments from citizens and values your input to the board. In order to provide the most comprehensive response to your comments, our staff will follow up with you and will keep our board informed about the responses. Our school board respects the public's right to speak to the board, and we appreciate you taking your time to be here. However, it is requested when you address the board comments are not directed personally against a board member or staff member, but rather directed at the issues. Any behavior intended to interrupt the orderly conduct of this meeting will not be allowed. Our civility policy is in place. When addressing the board, please state your name and speak clearly into the microphone. As a reminder of our way of work, we have allotted 45 minutes for public comment. At times, when there is an issue of great interest, we sometimes do extend it for an hour. This afternoon, each speaker will have 2 minutes. When there are 30 seconds left, you will see a yellow light on the lectern. A red light and a chime will indicate when your time is up. And at this time, I will call the speakers. And I'll make sure that I call 5 at a time. First, Kelly Carling, C. Mooring, Luann Talbert, Susan Lutho, and Veronica McDonald. And just be mindful to state your name. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon, board members. Thank you, Madam Chair, members, and guests. My name is Kelly Carling. I'm a graduate of Harvard, and I'm the mother of 4 children attending Hillsborough Public Schools. And I appreciate you for allowing us to come inside. It really helps me as a parent feel like I'm a part of this discussion, and it means a lot to me. And I just wanted to suggest, as Member Snively did, that we postpone the redistricting to 2023. I know we have the legal capability to do that. It's within the law. And the reason why are 3. The first is that at the board workshop we had this morning, which I was in attendance of, we didn't have the geographic information systems data support. They were supposed to be there and they canceled last minute because they too are swamped. It's an extremely busy time of year for our data analysts. And I was hoping to come and get answers. So yesterday I was playing phone tag with a number of people, and ultimately I was told to come to the workshop because there I could ask these data junkies how they came up with the maps A through D, and they weren't there. And I think that's just illustrative of this entire process, how it's being rushed. And I don't want to see this just pushed through quickly and done so we can check off a box. I think everybody would appreciate if we slowed it down and did it in a less stressful time. My children aren't even having birthday parties this year in December. I told them we're having spaghetti at home and you're getting a gift card because it's too crazy. People are traveling. It's an incredibly busy time of year, and it's not because we don't care. It's just because we're busy. You guys are all busy. I was told that a lot of you couldn't meet until you're booking weeks in advance. So that's number one, no just support. Number two, no community engagement. So Nadia Combs mentioned that she had 3 members come to her community engagement meeting. There were more staff members than community members. And it's not because people don't care. It's because there's not adequate time to advertise and get people interested and fired up. These things take time. You know, I know from personal experience, if you want somebody to come to a party or something, you need to tell them multiple times and remind them and text them. They don't just snap together and show up. Finally, among the maps that are in consideration, there's a variance. So 2 members submitted maps, member Hahn and member Perez. 10% or less variance is required by law. Perez's has 8.5%. It's almost out of the legal realm. Hahn's is 0.5%, which is really tight. So they're good in a good way. They're balanced. I just have more questions and I don't think they're going to be answered in adequate fashion. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Ms. Mooring. And good afternoon.
Privacy is a human right and essential to freedom. Today, you propose a $2.5 million contract for a camera and access control system. These products are capable of contact tracing, identifying the infected child, their zone, contacts, and other unspecified personal data. The company offers the artificial intelligence services facial and emotional recognition. Whose data are they using to train their AI? Is this going to be a repeat of the Polk County Schools 2013 iris scanning fiasco? That mess ushered in a new law prohibiting school districts from biometric collection. You approved a GPS busing proposal that included 100,000 student RFID trackers. Our children are not your property to track. That company advertises future uses of their RFIDs that include behavioral intervention programs. This district refused our opt-out of lunchroom meal tracking even when we paid cash. What is the compelling governmental interest you have in that data, and how is it narrowly tailored? Our experience, once this district adopts tracking technologies like iReady, EdSpeed, Canvas, it does not allow opt-outs. This district forces EdTech that tracks medical, dietary, psychological, and other personal data that is stored in the cloud. These are dossiers on children. China weaponizes data in systems like these. EdTech companies often share data with more vendors and partners. One privacy policy reveals they store data overseas. Do U.S. laws apply overseas? No one to my knowledge from this district has the permission or skill to critically inspect proprietary vendor software for compliance with law. Student data collected can be transferred in a sale or a merger. Edmodo sold their EdTech platform to the Chinese company NetDragon. It seems there are no laws governing this. It has been referred to as a national security problem. Florida politicians are a decade late in counting on meaningful privacy legislation.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Luann Talbert, followed by Susan Lithold. And good afternoon.
Hello, I am Luann Talbert. I'm here representing Hillsborough Public School Advocates. We all know that our district is facing severe challenges, and we are here to encourage you and support you. We are confident that you will select a school board chair and vice chair that will provide excellent leadership. We show up here meeting after meeting to advocate for fully funded public schools, for fair and appropriate education, for equitable representation for our school voting districts, for less high-stakes testing, less top-down leadership, and more constructive dialogues with stakeholders, more community schools that provide wraparound services to support families. Education has become a political tug-of-war with power as the prize. As a nonpartisan group, we advocate for students, not candidates. We support leaders who prioritize students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Susan Luthold, and I'm sure you'll correct me.
So I'm not sure what happened to the stream, y'all. I'm refreshing the website. So I'm not sure what happened to the stream.
Staffing shortages and nonsense policies also are causing long lunch lines, and kids are missing lunch. There's increased fighting and bullying in schools. Schools used to be a safe space for kids who may not have the best home life. They could catch a break, have some positive influence, see friends with smiling faces, be fed 2 warm meals a day, and spend time in the presence of caring and compassionate adults while also learning. Please stop the focus of violating parental rights here. You're not the mask police. You're not the vaccine Nazis. Vaccine mandates should be completely off the table. These are decisions that belong to families and their doctors. Mandates are discriminatory and stand to alienate minority, low-income, and at-risk kids. You have no right to deprive any kids of a public education based on your fears. Please get back to doing the jobs that you were elected to do. I implore you to get back in your lane, hire proper staff, let teachers go back to teaching our children, let the kids go back to learning. And to the board and superintendents, please show kindness and compassion to these kids, parents, and teachers, and stop the overreach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we pursue more speakers, I would like to ask the superintendent to lower the noise outside, if that can be done. If not, I'm hearing that we can't. Okay. My apologies, speakers, if this would disturb you. The drummers yell. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead, Ms. McDonald. Good afternoon. And then we'll hear from Pat Hall, Mark Zajac, and here we go.
I'll try to talk in cadence with the beat outside.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Let's talk fiscal responsibility. So the only reason that some members are suggesting that we hold off on redistricting has nothing to do with having voices heard of the public. I've been at both meetings thus far on this topic, at Sickles and at Wharton, and the turnout was abysmal. So in reality, the sole reason is to buy certain members time until after a 2022 election because they feel that they may be hurt by redistricting this year. This could cost the school district hundreds of thousands of dollars in lawsuits because we're currently grossly over the legal 10% variance. Elected officials do not get to choose their voters. Voters choose their elected officials. The other way around is called gerrymandering. We need to go ahead and finish redistricting as scheduled. We did this 10 years ago on a limited timeline. This happens every 10 years. We knew this was coming. Finally, where are we at with collective bargaining for teachers and staff? Are we able to give employees their earned step? If the answer in your head is no, we're in a financial crisis. I hope that's also your answer when discussing hiring any consultants or purchasing yet another computer program to test or assess our children for the umpteenth time. At the very least, can we use ESSER 3 money for a one-time bonus that we did last year? ESSER 3 does not come with the restrictive buckets like ESSER 2 did. Our teachers, paras, SNS, custodial staff, support personnel, and administrators deserve to be compensated for constantly rolling with the punches that the district delivers on a daily basis, attacking autonomy and creativity in education. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Ms. Hall, Mark Zajac, Damaris Allen, Shannon Durant, and then Carmen Edwards. And good afternoon, Ms. Hall.
Hi, Pat Hall. Last night I attended the zoning hearing for the Board of County Commissioners about the IDEA school that is now proposed to be built across the street from Thanona-Sassa Elementary, with a planned enrollment of 1,456 students. This location across the street from Thanona-Sassa is a concern for a number of reasons. Thanona-Sassa is a C with 430 children. Within a mile is Folsom, also a C with an enrollment of 493. A third school so close will drain resources already scarce due to, as Veronica said, financial strains in our district. Scully Road is a narrow 2-lane road already congested at school drop-up and pickup times. Neighbors have complained to school staff about traffic in the past. Flooding has been a perpetual problem at Thanona-Sassa after significant rain. In consideration of these concerns, I said to the zoning board, for this rural community and families, we hope a more suitable site can be found for this IDEA school. This will be the third school in Hillsborough County, forced on us by the legislature, I might add. The CEO of IDEA, who started the program, Tom Torkelson, was forced out in April 2020 for leasing a private plane and spending $400,000 of public money on sports tickets. He was then paid off with a $900,000 go-away gift. His right-hand person, Joanne Gamma, was forced out in 2021. Welcome to Hillsborough County. Christina Barker, Community Relations Executive with Vinnick Strategic Partners, is on the governing board of IDEA Florida. Guess I need to attend that bogus meeting. And tonight I noticed on the agenda, more charters, contracts up for approval tonight. How is the public to know when applications are received, etc.? The Republican legislature has once again changed the law so charter applications can be submitted anytime. What will be the need for traditional schools in the near future as this charter march continues unabated? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mark Zajac. And good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Mark Zajac. I'm the parent of twins who attend Coleman Middle School in South Tampa. I'm just here to encourage the school board to continue the efforts to properly fund our neighborhood public schools. These neighborhood schools are the backbone of our community. They're the backbone of the school system, and they serve the vast majority of our students. They're central to our community. You know, when I talk to my neighbors, my friends, school funding is always a top issue. It's not these cultural divisive issues that you hear about on the news. Viable, well-funded neighborhood school programs are always the top issue across the board. And it's something that's supported by folks in a bipartisan way. And that's because all of us want a quality education for our kids. So I just want to encourage each of you to continue the fight for additional money from the state. I think it's really sad that the state of Florida ranks 44th in the nation in education funding per pupil. So I just want to see this board continue to advocate for these increased funding, again, for these core neighborhood schools so that we don't face the teacher cuts that we saw last year. Thank you very much. I appreciate your work on this issue. God bless.
Thank you. Damaris Allen, Shannon Durant, Carmen Edmonds, and then Shannon Smith. And good afternoon, Ms. Allen. Oh,
I put it in that way.
Lord have mercy.
My fault. Good afternoon. My name is Damaris Allen Bridges. I haven't legally changed it because we're traveling and I don't want to mess with my passport. So that's why you get the confusion. So what I want to talk to you about tonight is parent engagement, right? So this month, November, is Parent and Family Engagement Month. So how are we celebrating that? How are we encouraging our parents to be involved in our schools? We know that the number one indicator of success for a child is parental engagement. And parents are dying to get back into schools, to volunteer, to help in ways that because they have missed out on the last few years. So what are we doing to capitalize on that? What are we doing to encourage them to be in our schools? Some of us are in schools where parents are there all the time. I know when my kids were in elementary school, if a class list went out to order something for a party, it was filled almost before it came out. And so what is it that we are doing at those schools to encourage them to engage at other schools where parent involvement may not be as great, right? So one of the great things about parental involvement is you end up with these bonus parents. You know, my kids really experienced it going through our same neighborhood schools from kindergarten on through, I have now an 11th grader and one that graduated last year. They have people they have grown up with their entire lives, parents that will correct them when I am not around. And Lord knows that all of us need that additional hand, right? So what are we doing to encourage that? In addition, I want to talk to you about, last week I went to Jennings Middle School, and I have already talked to Kristen and I've already talked to Chris Farkas about this. I went to Jennings Middle School because I wanted to take them lunch. And one of the concerning things I discovered going there, I love Jennings, it's great. They have wonderful teachers. It's not about the school, is the road. Going down the road, I almost got stuck at least 4 times. It was down to a single lane road. It was muddy. Teachers' cars had been damaged. It was hard to navigate. And I know that is not on you, but also we need to be aware of what's happening in the schools around us. Because as a parent, if that was my school, I don't know that I would go there because I couldn't get there easily. Or I'd be concerned about my kid traveling along that road daily. So how do we get parents to engage beyond our own schools? Because the bottom line is when any kid in Hillsborough County succeeds, all kids in Hillsborough County succeeds. We need to be invested in all kids, not just our own kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Sharon Durant, Carmen Edmonds, Shannon Smith, and then Allison Fernandez. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello, Madam Chair, board members, and superintendents. We are not going away. We are asking to have our town halls rescheduled. The superintendent just scheduled 5 community conversations. So if we need to change the name to community conversations instead of town halls, let's do it. But you, the board, you are the ones that asked for these community input so that you could vote on whether you wanted to change the policy or not. So let's either have town halls or let's start the voting process. Today, we are celebrating our proclamation for Native American Month, and it will be read by Ms. Perez. Thank you, Ms. Perez. Thank you, Mrs. Vaughn, for all your support. Usually we have 5 or 6 students that come up to this podium and speak. One will read the proclamation, one will read a prayer, and one will read about the gift that we always give when the proclamation is read. Here's our gift. Thank you. We won't be attending.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Carmen Edmonds and then Shannon Smith. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Carmen Edmonds. I'm here to discuss the REST redistricting and my concerns that the people's voices are not being heard. But my question is, does it really matter to you? Because the special session a few weeks ago, Dr. Hahn asked at about the minute 57 mark how the information from the public will be used. The roundabout answer was community input will not be really looked at. I also heard Ms. Gray stated this morning, no one is showing up to the town halls anyway. Well, I did have friends show up, and this is what they had to say. And this is being put out on social media platforms. My friend and I went to the School District 3 redistricting meeting last night. They started early, quickly, said a few things about the new maps in the back of the auditorium and that they want our feedback. One patriot basically asked, why the rush and waiting until the end of the year to push it through? The response was because the county may get sued if they don't do it now because the county hasn't updated according to Florida statutes. My friend was quick to ask why they are worried about Florida statues all of a sudden. Yes, they were sitting right behind Miss Vaughn, the one she intended her statement for. We reviewed the maps, and by the time we had finished reviewing them, they had packed up the comment stations. They plan to push their map through this year unless people get loud. So not only is this redistricting being rushed, but so are the town halls. They showed up, but the maps were removed before they could make comments. Do you really care what your constituents want? I humbly ask you to vote to withdraw this rushed redistricting plan. The voices of the people are not being heard right now, and it's not fair.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Shannon Smith, Allison Fernandez, and then Julie Gephardt. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So I hope my face is starting to look familiar, considering that this is my third time speaking about the same issue: Native Americans being used as mascots in Hillsborough County schools. My name is Shannon Smith. I'm Native American, not a mascot. I also graduated from a Hillsborough County public school, Durant High School, in 2015. I'll point out once again that we've got billion-dollar sports organizations like the Cleveland Guardians and the Washington football team who have changed their Native American mascots, and yet we can't have these changes on a local school level. It's almost 2022, and it's simply appalling that we have to fight the school board over this. Some people are going to say that there are bigger issues to discuss and change on a national or local level, but I think disrespecting an entire race is a pretty big issue, and it's demanding immediate action. Like Shannon Durant said, we're not going anywhere. We're going to keep coming back to fight as long as we have to, because this is outrageous. I'm just blown away that this issue hasn't been resolved. We've got passionate people outside right now protesting to change this issue. Why wouldn't you want to change this? The Minnesota Vikings NFL team also does not count as a race. Vikings aren't a race. So apparently it's just our race that's being used. I just can't understand that. And I think you guys need to be on the right side of history and be the change. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Ms. Fernandez, then Julie Gephardt, then Christy Dombrowski. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Allison Fernandez. I want to talk about some concerns I have about public access. You'll see a lot of interest has been generated over this beginning of this school year with various mask issues and other issues happening in the schools. Now we're on to redistricting. So my concerns are, one, the shortness of the duration. It's almost impossible for people to coordinate their schedules to get to these meetings. At the workshop this morning, I was really hoping to hear a discussion about behind the data that helped create the various maps that we're looking at. We weren't able to do that because the people that work for the county that helped create the maps weren't able to get on the schedule this quickly. So I'm not telling you to not abide by the law, but I am very concerned that the public's voice, once again, is not going to be heard. We're already looking at consistently this year, the public has been locked out of these meetings. The public has been locked, not outside the boardroom, outside the building, where there's no TV, no way to actually know what's going on in the meeting unless you're looking on your own personal phone while you're standing outside, come in to speak, and then go back out. When you all decide that there's a big issue on the agenda, you restrict public comment to 1 minute. Sorry, if there are a lot of people interested, the meeting might just have to go longer. It's very hard to make your points thoughtful and cohesive in 1 minute. When there are multiple items on the agenda that people in the public would like to address, they still get the one time in the meeting to comment on them. Other boards allow you to comment on each separate agenda item because sometimes, again, 1 minute is very difficult to get a thorough point across. Second, you all do have one-on-one meetings with the staff, which is great for you and your information, but I'm not there and nobody else in the public is there. And when you come out here and sit and make your decision, you don't bring minutes from that meeting out here. So I never know the conversation that has gone on behind the decision to make a budget change or adopt a curriculum or any of that. And I find that very disturbing. I also am very concerned about your board member ability to comment at these meetings. This, because of the Sunshine Law, the only time you can discuss is at a workshop or a public meeting. I'm here. I want to hear you all able to discuss 3 minutes. Okay. Then you have to move on, and then you move on, and then you move on. It's not really a discussion that helps me understand your thought process of how you get to your decision. So I'm asking you all to engage the public as often as you can.
Thank you. Next, Julie Gephardt, and then Christy Dombrowski. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And thank you for the time that you're giving us. There's a little bit of irony in this warning. If there's any kids listening, I would ask that you would not let them listen to my speech. There are still scores of sexually explicit books in the Hillsborough County schools, and this is not education, it is indoctrination. You're shoving immoral ideologies in our kids' faces. Putting porn in the hands of minors is a felony. And so I ask, who's responsible? Again, please don't let your children listen. All Boys Aren't Blue. There's 15 copies available in Hillsborough County. And this is really awful. Page 204. There you stood in front of me, fully erect, and said, taste it. Come on, Matt, taste it. That's what boys like us do when we like each other. I finally listened to you. I did that for about 45 seconds before you had me stop. You laid me on the ground and got up on top of me. You began humping me back and forth, back and forth. You eventually got up off me and told me to come to the bathroom. You began stroking yourself in front of me. Just keep watching, Matt. Then you began to moan slightly. I took a step back because I didn't know what was about to happen, and then it did. You ejaculated into the toilet in front of me. And I will spare you the worst parts of this, and I'm not kidding. This is unconscionable that this is in our libraries, exposing our children to this. I can't help but wonder, is the porn industry paying you to get our kids addicted to sex? I can't figure out what this is. Who is behind it? And what will you do about it? Will you protect our children? Parents, search the HCPS virtual library and see what is available in each school. You can go school by school. You can see how many in our district. Do that because it will be insightful. I can tell you there's multiple sexual gay encounters, reckless sexual behavior, teenage drug, alcohol, and sex being glorified, girls kissing each other to turn guys on. I don't think these books represent the morals of the families of Hillsborough County. Yet these are in our libraries, and you guys are offering these to our students. If it's not you, then who is putting these books out there? Who wants our kids to read this, to sexualize them at a young age and put them in danger? Somebody is intentional, and it's unconscionable that they're exposing our children to these things, packaged in flowery book covers with deceptive summaries. This normalizes careless and frivolous sexual behavior and promotes dangerous ideologies that will hurt our kids. I do believe that some of you are still fighting to right the ship on this, and I know that many parents stand behind you, so thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Christy Dombrowski, Stuart Forrest, Robert Rosa, and Sheridan Murphy. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Christy Dombrowski, and I'm here this afternoon to talk about this contract, the contract with Panorama Education that was signed on September 1st, 2020, but was just recently brought into my knowledge. They say timing is everything, and the timing is very coincidental for this because I've heard about this twice now in recent weeks, once on the national news and once from my own children who go to high school here in the district. They came home one day and said that they had to take a survey. And when I asked them about it and the questions, of course, high school boys aren't going to be able to tell you what they took a survey on exactly. So I went to look with them, but since they had already taken it, it was unavailable. But the link was to Panorama Education. So within that same week, I'm hearing on the news about Attorney General Merrick Garland and his ties with the National School Board Association and their attempt to get our Department of Justice to look at parents like myself and like these parents here as domestic terrorists, as if we come here to threaten anybody. We are here because we are concerned about our children and what's going on in the schools, and we want them to have the best education and the best and most safe experience. So here I find out that our Attorney General, Merrick Garland, has a son-in-law, and his son-in-law is the co-founder and the president of Panorama Education. So I looked into this contract and find out that we are now on year 2 of paying $362,500 to this company for surveys, social and emotional learning surveys. This is what I heard on the news about this company, that it is a Trojan horse to collect our kids' data. Okay, the second speaker today also spoke about collecting our kids' data and what that's going to be used for, and keeping our kids' data private and safe. Furthermore, under the guise of social and emotional learning, it's a way to sneak critical race theory into the schools. So my questions are many. To start out with, what's the justification of spending this amount of money on surveys? Why aren't parents informed and given the chance to opt out of their kids doing this survey? What is the district planning to do with the data that's collected from this survey? I wanted to also ask about the social and emotional learning, but since I'm out of time, I will be doing more research and asking for more transparency before this contract comes up for renewal.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Stuart Forrest, Robert Rosa, and last, Sheridan Murphy.
Ms. Gebhardt, could you meet me out? I would like to speak with you about the books that you discussed. Thank you.
And good afternoon.
Oh, Mitake-san. First and foremost, I would like to apologize for speaking in front of my elders. Secondly, we're in the 21st century, and we as Indigenous people, we're still fighting for our dignity, for us not to be mascots. They say that they honor us, yet how is that honor? I mean, you don't have the Florida colonizers, do you? Isn't that honor in your peoples? It's not in ours. That people do the chop. People think that we need to dress up in order for us to even be accepted in society. We're not a portrait. We're not something that people just gawk at. We're First Nations. As First Nations, like, shouldn't you honor us? Like, telling the truth of what really happened? Like, we as a nation, we need to talk the truth. If we say that we honor every single individual as a society, as a nation, how can we, as the school district, allow for our children to still believe that we're mascots, that we were just here and we said, okay, you can have our land now? We never had that ownership. Mother, our Unchimaka, Mother Earth does not belong to us. It's for everyone. We are her caretakers. That's the honor that we bring every single individual that we meet. We don't look at the color. We see the individual, the human being of who they are. If you want to honor Indigenous people, First Nations, speak the truth. We're not mascots. Like, we're here still as peoples fighting in the 21st century for our own dignity, for us to be, we're human beings. We're here as one. We're a collective. We say that we're the United States of America. Then what are we then? If we still represent Indigenous people as mascots. And I know that you've heard this so many times. We're here again. The school district did say they were not going to allow this, yet they went back on their word, and we're here standing. I'm here standing again. And it's appalling that we are all educated in our ways. I'm educated in my ways. But at the same time, we're here in honor of every single individual. I'm not here to tell you that the color of your skin, the way you look, we need to portray it because that's an honor. It's not. We're here as individuals, and as individuals, we ask you that we are not mascots. We are First Nations, and as First Nations, honor us. Honor us by speaking the truth. We are not mascots. Aho, mitakayasen.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Robert Rosa, and following Mr. Rosa, Sheridan Murphy. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Robert Rosa, Ames Central Florida, Florida Indigenous Alliance, as well United Confederation of Taino People, the people that no one sees. Today we're here because of the mascot issue that's been reopened after promises that they will be phased out. We ask once again to please phase them out. Just take it right off the board. Our culturally appropriate school climate. School leaders at K-12 level used to follow the Interstate School Leader Licensure Consortium for ensuring a culturally appropriate environment for all students to learn. All students. The indigenous people are still here. We are here. We don't need mascots. We need good people such as yourselves to educate the other young ones. Let them know that we are here. You want to learn about us, talk to us. We have many occasions. We've never once, even when you first came, we welcomed you. We fed you all your ancestors. Why can't it be that way? Why couldn't it remain that way? Corporate greed. I don't see a person here on this board that is into corporate greed. I see humans that want to respect other humans. And in that licensing, in that consortium, you're obligated to. There is a new one. Now they follow the National Policy Board for Education Administration, Professional Standards for Education, Standard 1. And I'm not going to go into all the little A's and B's and C's. I'm sure all of you are aware of them. Number 1, effective educational leaders. Now, it saddens me that most of our educational leaders are poorly paid, which gives them very limited time to address any issues. Then there's ethics and professional norms. Just in Clewiston, the school was going to have Thanksgiving pictures and have an Indian to take a picture with. You could pay $2. It got thrown out because we all called to say we are here. And this was found out by the kids. The parents weren't there, the kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Sheridan Murphy.
Oh, good morning. Pila Maya. Oh, sorry. You want to?
No, I just want to say good afternoon.
Pila Maya. NCAP Sheridan Murphy. When we talk about the mascot issue, I want the board to really look at your schools. Do you have any schools that have Africans as a mascot? Any schools that have Jews as a mascot? And if not, why not? If it's an honor. If we look at this realistically, just Friday of last week in Nebraska, Genoa, Nebraska, they dug up 102 Native babies that were dumped in a mass grave over 20 years because they were Indian, because they were put in boarding schools where the policy was kill the Indian, save the man. There's 7,400 of those children that have been found, and they've only searched 5% of those schools. Right now, you have kids at East Bay and Chamberlain that play Indian. It's not their fault. It's what they've been taught to do. Then they hold on to that tradition because they think it's the right thing. But think about the fact that actual Native people until 1978 could go to jail. It was a crime to speak language, as I did when I opened, or to practice their ceremonies traditionally. Yet we have schools all over the country. It's not just Hillsborough. It's all over the country that mock Native people using a Hollywood stereotype of a John Ford Western that looks like a Hollywood Lakota that got lost in an Apache dressing room trying to play a Nez Perce Indian. Has nothing to do with anything. And it convolutes the understanding of Native people so that when we talk about the boarding school issue, people don't see us as human beings. They see us as that Wahoo or Chief Nakahoma or whatever the mascots are at these schools. It's got to stop. It's not intentional, maybe. Maybe the intent is to honor, but the reality is it murkies the issue, muddies the water. And if we can't talk seriously about something as simple as a mascot, how do we talk about water rights and treaty rights and sovereignty that are serious issues that affect the lives of Native people today? We need to have those forums. I know they were postponed because of COVID, but I would urge the superintendent and the board to put those forums on, and we'll participate, because that's a great way to educate, have dialogue, and have the dialogue of cooperation so that people understand each other instead of yell past each other. The mascot's got to go. Native people are human beings, not sports mascot for your fun and games.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment, and we will now move into the reorganization of the board. But before we begin, Member Han has asked to say a few words. And Member Han, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair Gray. I appreciate that. I would like to, I would like to read proclamation celebrating Member Gray and her leadership for the past year as the chair of the Hillsborough County School Board. Had the pleasure of knowing Lynn before I was a school board member. Now pleasure of working with her for a few years and working closely beside her as she led this board. So, Ms. Gray, sit back and enjoy the next few minutes. Oh. This is your life. Whereas Mrs. Lynn Gray has completed her term as chair of the school board of Hillsborough County, Florida, and whereas Mrs. Gray's passion for education has been a driving force for our students, staff, and district, and whereas Mrs. Gray's leadership during our return from the pandemic has shown her all-encompassing dedication to this district, and whereas Mrs. Gray has dedicated significant time and energy during her tenure as board chair to the further expansion of our African American History Task Force, and whereas Mrs. Gray's tremendous devotion to physical wellness and health has improved the lives of our students and staff, and her creation of the Healthy Schools Task Force has recognized schools that have taken important steps toward physical, mental, and emotional wellness. And whereas Mrs. Gray's leadership to the Human Trafficking Task Force has resulted in significant advancements in the curriculum and awareness of this important issue, now therefore be it resolved that the School Board of Hillsborough County, Florida deems it fitting and proper to publicly recognize the distinguished contributions of Lynn Gray and to express its great appreciation to Mrs. Lynn Gray for her efforts and work as a chair of the School Board of Hillsborough County for the 2020-2021 school year. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be certified by the Superintendent of Hillsborough County, Florida, and be immediately presented to Mrs. Lynn Gray. Be it further resolved that a copy be placed in the minutes and said page dedicated to Mrs. Lynn Gray, and a copy of this resolution be made available to the public, adopted this 16th day of November, 2021.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chair Gray. I need to entertain a motion and ask for a second to adopt the resolution today. Melissa Snively and Nadia Combs seconds the motion. So when your lights appear, please vote. Oh, any discussion? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I skipped over that. I'm sorry.
Can I say a word or two? Or
no.
Oh,
You're last.
I know the hooks
No,
come out.
no.
Oh, I'm last.
So, as
I'm gonna go last. Okay.
Member Gray, I'm just going to say I'm very honored to be your vice chair for this past year. It has been a challenging year, and you have navigated it very well. And I know you want to speak, but you'll have your chance. So, I'm very excited to be able to read this proclamation and celebrate you today, as you so well deserve. And I know that there are other members that want to have an opportunity to share their thoughts. So, Member Snively, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. And I will be brief, but I will echo many of the sentiments of Dr. Hahn. It's been a very interesting and challenging year, and you have led with grace and with compassion and with patience, and we really appreciate your leadership. One of the takeaways over the last year has been the desire for this board to work in unison as a unified board, a unified team, if you will. And I am sure that whoever you will pass the gavel, to whom you'll ever pass the gavel tonight, will hopefully take that and continue the effort to unify us as a team so that we can function at a high level for the benefit of our students in the school district. So thank you for everything that you've done. And after tonight, you can take a deep breath and relax a little bit and just enjoy the memories and the experiences and all the things that you learned, because I'm sure you learned a lot this year over the last year. So enjoy all of those memories, and I'm sure they'll stay close to your heart. Thanks.
Thank you.
Member Washington, I'm sorry, Member Combs. So sorry.
Chair Gray, I just wanted to thank you for your relentless hours and hours of work, your commitment to every child, every school. I see you out early in the morning and in the evenings. You're constantly working, and I know that your purpose is looking at the whole child and unifying this board and really taking us under our wing, all the new board members, and just really being such a great mentor to all of us. And I just want to thank you for all your hard work and commitment to our district. And I just know you're going to continue to do great things.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Combs. That's very sweet. Member Washington.
Thank you. Madam Chair, outgoing chair, I tell you, it was a pleasure having you as the board chair, especially being a rookie coming on board. You exemplified leadership. And I want to say, as Colin Powell said, there are no true seekers of success. He said, it's hard work, dedication, and learning from your mistakes. And you truly have done that, exemplified that. And I've enjoyed having you as the chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Washington. Superintendent Davis.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Hahn, thank you. And Ms. Gray, for me, I really appreciate it. That we've, as Ms. Snively said, we've been through a lot this last year. And as chair, you tried to, continue to be a mentor, to be a leader, and ultimately you really focused on children every single day. So we're grateful for that, grateful for our continued ability to work together. And thank you for your continued dedication to Hillsborough County.
Thank you. Am I allowed to say something?
Yes, Chair Gray, you are
So,
now allowed to speak. You've got 3 minutes now.
Oh, I'm not going to speak that long.
I'm kidding.
When I first got on the board for chair, I looked at the previous chair, Member Snively, and her leadership has really, to me, been emblematic as to how I would follow. She and I both wanted to bring the board together to unify them and to get to higher levels of professionalism. And I think we've come a long way. And I don't say that's remarkably true from my end. It really came from the professionalism and the high IQ, the great sense of purpose from each of these board members. You all care for our children, and that, to me, and our superintendent speaks volumes. So I do believe that as we get to the new chair, that if we follow in that same sequence, bringing this board, this district to the highest level with our superintendent, I am just excited to look forward to what we'll have. And we will stick together. We must stick together, because without a team it's even if things are perfect in per day, it's still, this whole district needs a lot, incredible amount of attention. So we have to have a cohesive board. The district and the children and our wonderful staff who are sitting there day after day, hour after hour, helping our children succeed, helping our teachers, helping our custodians and our bus drivers. All this, we have to be cohesive. We have to work as a team. So I thank you all. And that was the shortest talk. And I know Member Snively knows that, and some of you all, because I can be a little lengthy. So, but I have something. Let's see. Are you going to give me something
Yes,
first?
I am.
Okay.
Hold on. We have to go first. Okay. So thank you. That was, thank you for your words. That was wonderful. And now please vote when your lights appear on the resolution. And the resolution passes unanimously. Congratulations. I would also like to request a copy of the resolution be placed in the official minutes. And now, I would also like to present you with a beautiful copy of your proclamation so that you can hang that in your office and be reminded of all the wonderful things you did in the past. Well, not just the past year, in your tenure on the board, and that you will continue to do, I'm sure. We also have this, oops, it's sticking. The official gavel, how lovely. I know.
So this is anger management tool here, and I will use this with my husband for sure.
So that will be going home with you, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well,
I'll give that to you. You can put that in there.
thank you very much. And
This is from Mitchell Elementary, one of both of our schools. It resides in South Tampa, and it's a piece of art for your home or office, wherever you would prefer. But I know I have quite a few of their pieces in my office, and it's always just a lovely reminder of just, the beauty in our students.
thank you.
There's more. We have some beautiful flowers for you, Miss Gray.
Oh my goodness, look at this. Oh,
And we have a lovely gift basket. And Miss Snively, would you like to describe
Sure, I will
what's in the
just tell you
basket?
what's in it, if that's okay. Because we know you have a love for running marathons. This is a runner's gift basket, and it has lots of accessories that are used by runners, as well as some snacks and a nice gift card to Fitnish, which is a running store, and yes, and possibly a little liquid therapy from Fitvine.
And as well as a card that we've all signed and thanked you again for your service. And so,
yeah.
So if we could all kind of give Miss Gray a hand and.
So
thank you.
I have something also to exchange to a wonderful partner in crime. Our co-chair, Dr. Hahn, has been with us for a year. My side reminder, my waker-upper, and to keep me in sync with all the speakers and everything that we had to do together to hold the board to an efficient type of meeting. So I have a few things for our co-chair, Dr. Hahn, and here we go. So I know you have a beautiful home, and I know you redecorated, and I know you love gardens, and this is, you're welcome, and there's a card there as well. So that's that. And then, like mine's, this is from Mitchell. They have a great art department, as you know, and this is for you as well.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So Oh, the artist is on the back. The artist is on the back side. You want to say the artist?
Many pieces from students' art in my office, and I'm so excited to add Christopher Serrano's first grade at Mitchell. I'm really excited to add your art, Christopher, to my wall gallery, and I will look at it every day and think of the wonderful students at Mitchell Elementary. And thank you to art teacher Laura Hobby for probably framing this and preparing it. I'm super excited to get this. Thank you so much. Thank you, all my board members. It's been a pleasure being your vice chair over the past year. It's been a rough year, but having you all beside me through it has really given me the strength to get through it. And so I look forward to continuing working with all of you throughout the next year. And thank you, Madam Chair, for this recognition this evening. It's very, very thoughtful of you. Appreciate it.
Well, it's well deserved. And just while we're doing shout outs, I wanted to say thank you to the artist, Ellis Adcock from, fourth grade, Mitchell Elementary. And what a great art teacher. And I know you know her, Miss Laura Hobby. So she is just bringing out the best of the students. So I think I'm going to get everything organized. Oops. And I think I'm done with this talking at the moment. So Mr. Porter, you want to execute the next step?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations to both you and Dr. Hahn for a very successful year as board chair and vice chair, and for your leadership. So now it's time for the board to reorganize. Under Florida law, the board has to reorganize every November. Florida law requires that you elect a chair, and in Hillsborough, we also elect a vice chair. Under the law, the superintendent conducts the election for chair and for vice chair. So he'll be doing that. I want to explain the parameters. Anyone may nominate anyone on the board. All 7 of you are eligible to be chair. You may nominate yourself. A nomination does not require a second. When the superintendent asks for nominations, you'll raise your hand and nominate the person that you like. You may say something about that person if you wish. You don't need to. If more than one person is nominated, the board will vote by ballot. The ballot is a public record, and on it will be your name, and you'll vote for the person you wish to be chair. That will be tabulated and announced, and each person's vote will be recorded and announced of that. So with that being said, the superintendent will now conduct the elections for chair, and he'll ask for nominations. Again, to be recognized, just raise your hand. You won't be using your voting buttons.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Porter. Really appreciate it. The floor is now open for nominations for chair. To be recognized, please raise your hand to make a nomination. Ms. Perez?
I would like to nominate Nadia Combs for chair.
Okay.
I would like to nominate Nadia Combs for chair.
All right. So we have, please know that nominations do not need a second. So we have one nomination for Nadia Combs, actually made by Mrs. Perez. And at the same token, I would ask that it's time anyone else would like to be nominated for chair other than Nadia Combs. Okay. At this time, nominations are closed. So let's say congratulations.
I think just to be official, I think you should just ask for a vote, Mr. Superintendent. All in favor of Nadia Combs for chair, raise your hand.
All right. With one nomination this time, any individual want to vote for Mrs. Nadia Combs for chair, please raise your hand. All right, 7-0.
Congratulations, Ms.
Congratulations, Ms. Combs.
All
right. Okay, the floor is now open for nominations for vice chair. All right, to be recognized, please raise your hand to make a nominations. Nominations do not need a second. At this time, I'd ask, I see Mrs. Snively to make a nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. It is my honor, and I know he referred to himself as a rookie a little earlier in this meeting, but he is in no sense of the term a rookie to this school district. I'd like to nominate Shake Washington for vice chair.
Are there any other nominations? Mrs. Vaughn?
Thank you. I love Shake and I love sitting next to Shake, so no disrespect. I am a bit of a traditionalist, so I would like to see some of our older board members, since we have a new board member as chair, have an opportunity to serve in the role of vice chair and offer Nadia some tenure. So I would like to nominate Karen Perez.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Okay, therefore, now the nominations are closed. Therefore, at this time, Mrs. Arja will walk around and give each individual a piece of paper for you to write your choice for vice chair. A member must receive 4 votes to be determined and receive the vice chairmanship. So please, at this time, write your votes. And then upon completion, please raise your hand. We'll have staff that will come by and we'll be able to obtain and we'll tally. Okay, thank you. At this time, I will read out each board member and their selection who they voted for vice chair. Nadia Combs voted for Mr. Shake Washington. Karen Perez voted for Mrs. Karen Perez. Melissa Snively voted for Shake Washington. Lynn Gray voted for Mr. Shake Washington. Stacy Hahn voted for Mr. Shake Washington. Shake Washington voted for Mr. Shake Washington. Sorry. And Jessica Vaughn voted for Mrs. Karen Perez. From a vote 5-2, congratulations, Mr. Shake Washington. You are identified as the vice chair. I will now turn the meeting over to our chair, Mrs. Nadia Combs.
Madam Chair, if we could request a 15-minute recess so that we can go discuss the rest of the agenda and we can readjust the seating here. So if you could call a 15-minute recess, we would appreciate that.
I'd like to go ahead and call a 15-minute recess. Thank you.
Congratulations.
So, wow. Wow. So first of all, let's just go ahead and put everything on the table. Hold on. Sorry. There's a delay. Number one, I'm gonna just say this. Y'all need to watch Nadia. Period. Point blank. Y'all need to watch Nadia. You do. You know who you also need to watch? You also need to watch Shake. And you also need to watch Shake's pastor, Reverend Dames. Now, I'm just here to just let y'all know that I can't believe that they nominated Shake to be vice chair of this board when he can't even keep up on the dais. The people next to him have to tap him for him to understand what is happening on the school board. And he's the vice chair? Really? And there have been so many people that have played into this behind the scenes. That is disgusting. I am livid. Karen Perez is one of the only board members that goes above and beyond. There was a teacher who literally was working in his classroom, and some students tapped into the intercom in his classroom and said, F you, the N-word. Karen Perez handled that situation. The situation I told you where the abuse took place at the Magnet bus stop where the child was harmed, Karen Perez handled that. And you know, when I talked to Shake Washington, he was rude and he told me that he doesn't have to talk to me and that he doesn't like the way that I move and operate, which I've been transparent and consistent this entire time. But it appears that he has not been. So for the Democratic Party, I'm on you. For these school board members that say one thing and do another, I'm on y'all too, because our kids deserve better than that. So while y'all playing these games, and I don't even know why Melissa trying to cozy up to Shake after the whole CRT thing, but the alliances that are on this board. And I'm so glad that Dr. Stacey Hahn prayed about being petty. She hasn't seen nothing yet. Because I'm telling you, this is awful. And the folks that have been playing behind the scenes is awful. So I hope that y'all do everything in y'all ability to donate to school board member Karen Perez's campaign and make sure that she's on the board so that she has an opportunity to be a leader. The comment says Shake's pastor is behind this and has alliance with Melissa Snively. You are absolutely correct. Had I known Reverend Dames to be the person that he's shown himself to be, I would have never gotten involved in some of the things that I've gotten involved in because of him. Shake's pastor was at the board workshop, and I'm just trying to figure out why he was at the board workshop today. Now, you could be wherever you want to be, but when it's these people, and it angers me, especially Black people who say that they believe in God and they're in the church and they be playing these games behind the scenes that's not of God. It's not. And this whole debacle and these alliances is going to come back. It's going to come back and it is going to go hard. While Shake can barely keep up with these meetings, y'all gonna see. And the only reason why we supported him is because Tammy was awful. But it seems as though both of them are continuing with these same patterns. You literally had Shake Washington on the phone with me. Literally, his voice is elevated. My wife is in the car. She can attest to it. And he says he doesn't have to talk to me. that he doesn't have to respond to me. And meanwhile, I'm telling him these issues that are happening in the school district, and Karen is the one to fix it. Karen Perez is the one to fix it. So while y'all out here playing these games, I hope that y'all wake up. These local elections matter. Folks need to be intentional and know the stuff behind the scenes. Had I known that Reverend Dames is the person that he is, where he's had all his family members, let me not use all, because let me not use all, but his wife that gets this job that she didn't apply for, folks. And then Addison Davis stepped in and had her to apply. I've already shown all the receipts on that. Shake's son magically has this promotion. Meanwhile, there's hell that's breaking loose at Middleton. And there's been hell breaking loose at Middleton. So, you know what? I hope y'all continue to follow the money. I hope that y'all continue to hold these people accountable, but I'm about to go relax. I'm about to go get me a drink of water and some popcorn because I can't believe what happened. Dr. Stacey Hahn would have been the swing vote for Karen Perez, but the fact that Nadia, wow. Y'all be blessed.
The school board meeting on Tuesday, November 6, 2021 will convene and the annual meeting of the School Board Leasing Corporation. And I'll now turn the gavel back over to Member Gray.
Board members. Board members, at this time, I'd like to introduce Ratish Patel, bond counsel with Neighbors, Giblin and Nickerson, who will explain the annual meeting of the membership and the board of directors for the leasing company. I will now hand it over to Mr. Patel. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, superintendent. For the record, Ritesh Patel with Neighbors, Giblin and Nickerson, the district's bond counsel. On the reorganization meeting date of the school board, the bylaws of the leasing corporation, on which you all sit as virtue of your position as members of the board, also requires a reorganization to appoint new officers and new board members, which there aren't none, but you will reorganize much like you did for the school board. There's going to be two motions, and I think the first motion would be for the current members of the school board to be appointed as members of board of directors of the Hillsborough School Board Leasing Corporation.
Thank you. I now recommend the appointment of the current members of the school board as the board of directors of the leasing corporation. I have a motion made by Member Vaughn, and I have a second made by Member Washington. I now ask for a motion to appoint our new chair, Nadia Combs. Sorry.
We need to vote on this one first. So.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. We need to vote. I was getting a little bit ahead of myself. Board members, please vote when your lights are on. Okay, Member Snively is away from her desk, and Member Gray does not have a voting, so I'm going to say yes. Oh, it's on the right. Okay, we're good. Member Gray says yes, and Member Snively is away from the desk at this time. We are.
Yeah, I believe the next motion should be to appoint the new chair of the school board, Ms. Combs, as chair and president of the board of directors. Appoint the new vice chair, Mr. Washington, as vice chair and vice president of the board of directors, and reappoint Mr. Davis as secretary and treasurer of the leasing corporation.
Okay, we have a motion made by Member Hahn and a second made by Member Washington, and please vote when your lights are on. Unanimous, with Member Snively being away from her desk. I will now adjourn the School Board Leasing Corporation meeting and reconvene the school board meeting and turn it back over to our new chair, Member Combs.
Thank you, Member Gray. We will now begin the recognition proclamations. We will begin with 01, adoption of proclamation, American Education Week, November 15th through the 19th, 2021, and National Education Support Professionals Day, November 17th, 2021. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge that Mr. Johnny Green, HCTA, ECP, ESP Vice President, and Ms. Jackie McAllister, HSEF Representative, are both in the audience today. Thank you both for your tireless efforts. I will be presenting this proclamation, the American Education Week. American Education Week embraces our entire educational community, students, staff, families, and neighborhoods, and stresses the importance of public education as the backbone of our democracy. Public education employees work tirelessly to serve our children and communities with care and professionalism. Whether they're teachers, counselors, custodians, bus drivers, clerical or food service professionals, health and student service professionals, resource teachers, or media specialists. Public schools are the foundation of neighborhoods and communities, bringing together adults and children in a common enterprise. National Education Support Professionals Day. Educational support professionals are an integral part of the education process. They contribute to a safe and healthy learning environment for students, shaping the welcoming culture that helps students feel empowered to do their best. Education support professionals work tirelessly to serve our children and communities with care and professionalism. Education support professionals have been there every step of the way during the pandemic. They're cleaning and repairing buildings, navigating multiple bus routes, preparing healthy meals, addressing social emotional impacts of the pandemic, and so much more. And I want to thank all of them so much. And we will need a motion and a second. I see a motion by Mr. Washington and a second by Member Vaughn. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, please vote when your lights are ready. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Member Vaughn?
Thank you. It's hard for us to all figure out where our new stuff is. I just wanted to say that was a beautiful proclamation. It really encapsulated all of our employees. And again, you know, I say this quite often, but they are the backbone of our education system. And just to see them this year showing up against all of the challenges and the division in our community and just putting on their best foot forward, serving our children every day. I'm just so humbled and grateful to our employees. So thank you for the beautiful proclamation and to all of our employees for such hard work and dedication.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Member Gray?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I echo the same sentiment. Without our workers who serve our children every day, our bus drivers who greet them, and just so many assets and aspects of our school is dependent upon our workers that just truly love our students, and they're dedicated. And this is a very important proclamation, very expansive and critical. And I'm glad that we did take a moment to recognize our school counselors and our social workers who are busy as bees now and probably will be for years to come. So I'm glad that we have this. Thank you.
Thank you, Member. Thank you, Member Gray. Please vote when your lights appear. And the vote passes 6-0 with Melissa Snively not present at this moment. The adoption of Proclamation Native American and Alaskan Native Heritage Month, November 2021. Member Vaughn will be presenting this proclamation.
Thank you. Hillsborough County Public Schools, in partnership with the Title VI Parent Advisory Committee, has provided individualized services, professional development, and other supports since 2011 under the federally funded Title VI Native American and Alaskan Native Education Initiative in efforts to ensure that Native American and Alaskan Native students are supported academically. The vision of this partnership is to cultivate a greater inclusion and cultural awareness on behalf of the thousands of Hillsborough County Public School students who identify as Native American or Alaskan Native. Hillsborough County Public Schools recognizes the key roles of Native Americans and Alaskan Natives throughout history, as well as the rich cultural legacy that has helped shape our nation's identity.
I need a motion and a second to approve the Native American and Alaskan Native Heritage Month, November 2021. I have a motion by Member Perez and a second by Member Washington. Any discussion? Member Vaughn?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to reiterate what an honor it was to be able to read this and how much I value our partnership with the Title VI Parent Advisory Committee. They always say that they're a small but mighty group, and that is very evident in their fierce advocacy for their children and their students and their culture. And it's just, I'm really glad that we have this this proclamation, and we were given these beautiful objects by them for to get in touch with the spiritual world. So again, just thank you for this proclamation and for our parent advisory group for being such fierce advocates for our students and their community.
Please vote when your lights appear. The motion passes 6 with Member Snively away from the dais. The National School Psychology Awareness Week, November 8th through the 12th, 2021. Member Perez will be presenting this proclamation. Member Perez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. All children learn best when they are healthy, supported, and receive an education that enables them to strive, grow, and thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. A child's mental health is directly linked to their learning and development. The learning environment provides an optimal context to promote good mental health. School psychologists are specially trained to deliver a continuum of mental health services and academic supports that lower barriers to teaching and learning. They also assess student and school-based barriers to learning. Schools can more effectively ensure that all students are able to learn when they meet the needs of whole child and provide integrated multi-tier supports.
I need a motion and a second to approve National School Psychology Awareness Week, November 8th through the 12th, 2021. I have a motion by Member Vaughn, and I have a second by Member Perez. Any discussion? Member Vaughn?
Apparently I'm the chatty one tonight. So I just wanted to, again, I know I take this opportunity, but thank Member Perez for being just such an advocate for mental health and for us as a board addressing it so often and talking about it. As Member Gray mentioned, our social workers and our mental health therapists have a long, hard push in front of them with the last few years. And I'm just really appreciative of this board's focus on mental health, and Member Perez, again, for being such a strong advocate for that.
Yes, and also I'd like to piggyback off that. Ms. Perez, I thank you for all your hard work that you do for mental health, because before you came on board, it was something missing. You brought back the reality of having mental health and all the wraparound programs in Hillsborough County. So I really appreciate you doing that.
Thank you, Member Washington. I also wanted to talk about how important it is to really focus on mental health. I think it's always been a very, very big part of it's very difficult to educate a child when they're going through mental health issues. And we've always known this is really a critical part of education. I think now more than ever with COVID, we are seeing just the devastating results that are occurring through COVID, through the pandemic, and really making sure that our schools do so much more than just educate children. We provide wraparound service. We make sure that each child is safe. And I see that every day going out to the schools. So I want to thank you, Member Perez, for being such a champion for mental health, and for all the members to making sure that that is a real core priority for this district. Thank you.
I just wanted to throw in, oh, sorry, I have to be recognized.
Member Gray?
Sorry. Yeah, I wanted to throw in the Children's Board, being a board member there. We recognize that 99%, and I was shocked too, that 99% of our students have received, or sadly, one or another form of trauma. And that's very scary. So the need for recognizing, thank you, Member Perez, the psychology, we know as educators that children will not learn until really they're not going to be ready to learn until their mental health is addressed. And to this end, we are having a workshop coming shortly. And I thank you for mentioning that, Member Combs, that we have to start paying attention, laser focus to the well-being. And we are. And Superintendent Davis, thank you for also lending a hand and many resources under Holly Saya, their staff. So it has to make a difference. Thank you, Ms. Burkett, too, for recognizing, and I see your head shaking up and down. So anyway, that's enough said on that, but we definitely going to pay attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gray. Please vote when your lights appear. The vote passes 6-0 with Member Snively away from the dais. I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. I have a motion by Member Hahn and a second by Member Washington. Any discussion? If not, please vote when your lights appear. The vote passes 6-0 with Member Snively away from the dais. We are now moving to, okay. The consent agenda has been approved. Superintendent comments. We will move into the superintendent comments. Mr. Superintendent Davis.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Chair Combs. And this evening, want to be able to talk about a number of things related to where we are as a school district, provide updates, talk about, recognizing that last month we had an opportunity to highlight some of our, business partners and leaders within the organization that were part of our new Accelerate Hillsborough recognition. So tonight we'll be able to transition to identify one of our students and then being able to talk about some new school leadership changes and school leadership celebrations, and then being able to highlight some consent agenda items that were approved this evening, and then transition to suspended agenda, and then provide district updates. At this time, we talk about student recognition. It is, this is part of our strategic plan with our goal number 2, with our supportive, create a supportive organization within Hillsborough County. So tonight we talk about accelerating Hillsborough as we work together to make a difference. We want to be able to recognize one of our students, and we have a number of our teachers have nominated a number of our students throughout the school district. And the selection for this month's Accelerate Hillsborough recognition is Mrs. Molly Sheeling. Molly is been recognized as an exceptional student. She is very strategic with her programs, her classmates. She is a role model inside and outside of our school. She is part of an equestrian team that rides horses, takes a number of classes, is really being able to help and lead other students with disabilities, help them be actively engaged and involved in co-curricular activities as well. She is a vice president of FFA, and she looks to be able to share her passion, her love for farming and animals to other students. And she's been recognized by an outstanding leader. We also have Principal Matthew DePrima here as well from Burns Middle School. So let's give her a round of applause. Congratulations, Molly. Thank you so very much for everything that you do to accelerate Hillsborough. And I don't know if, Matthew, you want to say anything? Or yeah, take a picture. You're more than welcome. Yeah, she got a cool little coupon to get some ice cream and a recognition. Yeah. That's hers. Yeah, we can stand and we'll stand and squeeze in. Congratulations, Molly. Congratulations. Look forward to being able to watch you in some of the FFA competitions, and at the same time, some of your student government, being able to visit and being a part of your leadership at Burns Middle School. So thank you. And thank you, Matthew, for everything you do at your school. We really appreciate your leadership as well. All right, next we talk about school leadership and being able to grow exceptional talent related to our strategic plan. And this evening, we want to be able to recognize the 2021 and 2022 principal and assistant principal of the year. Our principal of the year is Ryan Moody. Ryan Moody from the Transformation Network. Mr. Moody is currently the principal at Oak Park Elementary School. For those of y'all who may not know, he was appointed in 2018, 2019, 15 days before the school year actually started. So, here you go. You have one of the persistently low performing schools, not only in the state, but in Hillsborough County. It's continuously been underperforming. But after really dedication, hard work, building this team, really building the right culture you want at a school, really learning how to work collectively with teachers, empower them, at the same token, being able to leverage the resources in the community. He created really some strong housing system. He did a pilot with the expeditionary learning, with literacy, really focused on small group instruction. And at Oak Park Elementary School, it had the highest gains in the state of Florida with a 173-point movement and been recognized from an F to a C. He was only 2 points away from a B. He is our principal of the year, Mr. Ryan Moody. Yep. And we got a chance to go, Mr. Washington, and I think some others, Miss Combs and Shay, Sue, we got a chance to go over there and recognize him. And he had a clap out with his entire, student body. And, it's so awesome to be able to go to a school starting on a Monday to recognize a leader and for him to be valued publicly, from his students. And he gave all this back to his hard work of his teachers, his staff members, his non-instructional staff members, and his students. So congratulations, Ryan. And at the same token, we had to be able to select a leader for an assistant principal that has been recognized for their hard work and dedication within our organization. We have an individual that is Mrs. Tanya Colson, who is the AP of the year as well from McLean Middle School. She started as a VE teacher in August of 2013. She started at Junta Middle School and then transitioned to be an assistant principal at North Tampa Epic 3, and then being able to transition to be an assistant principal at Middleton High School as well. Knowing that we were trying to really build a really special team around Principal Brandon Glenn at McLean Middle School, Mr. Morello, who identified a team to go over there to be able to create change. And I had a chance to visit yesterday. The campus looks well. It feels well. There's a lot of pride. It's because of that leadership team. A lot of Ms. Colson is working collectively with Principal Glenn to really create systemic change. And she has been recognized as a difference maker, and she is the Assistant Principal of the Year for Hillsborough County Public Schools. So congratulations, Tanya. But, before I left, Tanya chased me down. She goes, Mr. Davis, you got to FaceTime my mom and tell her, that I just won this. And, what a special time to be able to connect with her. And her dad was in the background. She is a born educator. She cares about kids. And the only thing I can say is, yes, sir, y'all have done a really nice job being able to help. So these two individuals get a chance to go on to be recognized and compete for the state principal and assistant principal of the year. As you know, last year we had Mrs. Harris, who was recognized as a Florida Assistant Principal of the Year. We have two candidates that can be able to move that needle and create change again. So best of luck to them, and Mrs. Anne-Marie will be able to help them through that process. And then, as we know that we have a chance to open up a brand new pre-K-8 school in the Waterset community. And with that said, there's an opportunity for us to be able to recognize a leader that is a staple in this community. And not, being able to kind of think with our team, who could lead this, who has the ability to be able to recruit our students, that has trust in this community. And there's not another better name than being able to recognize Missy Leonard as the new principal of Waterset Pre-K-8. I am, Missy, you got to come on up here. Come on up. I know Dustin's with you too. Yeah, Frankie's here. But, Mrs. Leonard is born, raised, and a product of Hillsborough County Public Schools. She has been an instrumental part, not only in this county, but southern part of this county. Everyone knows who Missy Leonard is. She joined us. Yeah. Who's that? That's Missy. When she calls me, I just say, yes, ma'am. I can tell you that. She joined Hillsborough County in 1993 and transitioned, I think, Cypress Creek Elementary School, and then transitioned to be, started off in Sessoms Elementary School as a, inaugural assistant principal. Sims Elementary, 2001. 2004 transitioned to the principal at Mintz Elementary School, and then had an opportunity in 2009 to open up Stowers Elementary School, where she has now, and done remarkable work. And with the ability to open up, 2 elementary schools, she's ready and she's primed. And it's my honor to be able to name the new principal of Waterset Pre-K 8, Mrs. Missy Leonard. Woo-hoo. All right. You can speak. If you want to speak, you can go ahead. She said no. She got her
microphone. Of course,
Yeah.
I have to speak.
I have the same problem.
I just want to say it is absolutely an honor, and having been able to open 2 of our awesome schools in Hillsborough County, Stowers and Sims Elementary, I'm excited to go back to South Hillsborough County, where I'm from, and I'm really excited to engage our community and to get this school open and fill it with the awesome kids that we have in this county. And I think it's going to be a great adventure. So you're going to have to come out and check it out. Okay?
You know what?
Thank you.
Just sitting here right now, I can tell you they're already fully staffed. Yeah, please.
Member Hahn wanted to make a comment.
I did. Thank you. First, congratulations. I just feel so fortunate that you're going to be leading one of my schools. Dr. Leonard was a mentor of mine. He encouraged me to run for school board, supported me, and I would not be in the seat without his encouragement and mentorship. So I just feel, again, I was thrilled when the superintendent called to tell me that you were going to be leading this school. And I just wanted to jump through the phone and hug him, because I was like, yes, this is just fantastic. And obviously, anything you need, anything I can do to support you as you lead this school and get ready to open this school, please reach out. And thank you for your service to our district all these years. And you're just going to be phenomenal. I'm so lucky to have you leading one of my schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Hahn. Member Gray?
Thank you. And we're all excited. Missy, your father, he was my teacher, as you well remembered. And he is indicative, you are indicative of his spirit and his educational professionalism and just love for children. I look forward. I live now, I live 5 minutes. I use the track next door. But now I'm going to have you, you'll be a little further. It'll be fine. I'll just come on down and get the key. But at any rate, we just know you're going to do a monumentous, very important job. And every one of the board members and the staff and our superintendent are going to support you every step of the way. So thank you for taking on this huge challenge. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Member Gray. Member Washington?
I will be remiss if they didn't say anything. You come from a great family. I mean, you're a great family of educators. Missy, you've always done a great job. Remember when you were small, growing up, you always was on top of it. I'm very happy for you. I know your father's looking down, smiling now. I know he will be. So, hey, great. Anything I can do to help you, just let me know, okay? All right. Thank you. I appreciate all you have done for us.
Thank you, Member Washington. And thank you for everything you and your family have done for Hillsborough County Public Schools. Superintendent Davis?
Yes, ma'am. And last thing, and please know that I thank all the staff to help me put the full court press on Missy, because she really genuinely loves her school and the community that she serves at Stowers. So if those who are watching know that this was hard for her, it wasn't easy. Her job, she's been there since 2009. Her job wasn't done there. She loves this community. So know that we appreciate the staff in this community helping her be successful and leading and trusting her with our students. But now it's time for us to be able to start a new chapter and to help Hillsborough County continue to grow. So thank you for making the tough decision, and we appreciate your leadership. And Dustin, thank you as well. All right. Also, we talk about agenda highlights tonight. One of the things we looked at B401, we put a job description for an internal board auditor position. We know that there's been a number of community members talking about being able to look at this position, to look at procurement, and to be able to further assist and protect the district and make certain that our contracts are being implemented in a positive manner. I will be meeting individually with board members to be able to talk about that scope and the sequence, because just because we identified the job description tonight, it doesn't mean that we don't move forward to be able to clarify and have a better understanding of how this position interacts with the board and also the district. So more information will be forthcoming, and that is aligned to strategic plan goal of fiscal operation and responsibility. Also, B609 with mannequins, accessories, software services for Irwin Tech. We have a nursing program that we are providing 12 mannequins to our schools so they can really have continue to interact and be prepared as they transition to the nursing program. This money has been carved out through our CARES 2 grant money, which is separate from ESSER. The CARES 2 is all about workforce, and this aligns to our goal number 1, academic excellence. And then also the same thing for 610, which is about welding materials at Irwin Technical, with new welding machines to allow our students to be exposed to the cutting edge equipment. And this is once again the CARES Act 2 grant workforce development funding that's aligned to our academic excellence goal within our strategic plan. And then we want to continue to recognize the community. For this month, we bring a final acceptance and approval for a number of chilled water plant at Thompson, our HVAC, along with painting and waterproofing within our schools. A total of over $5 million to the community sales tax referendum. We really thank our community and our executive committee that really identifies how to be able to use that money to help our facilities and in our buildings to have an attractive environment for our students so they can compete. And this aligns with goal number 4 for fiscal responsibility and operation responsibility as well. And then suspended agenda for those who are new watchers. These are items the board has wished to provide an update not only to them, but also to the community. And one, to be able to identify, COVID update and impact within our community. If we see the number of COVID positive cases per the 1,000 individuals, we see that when we started school, it was a tremendous spike. And while we thought about last year was very difficult to open school, this year due to the Delta variant, it really was had a greater impact on our school, our teachers, our support staff, our school-based leaders. And we saw that spike happening between August and September. And as we see the transition to November, we see that it has declined tremendously within our community. At the same token, being able to identify the number of employees and students that are impacted due to COVID-19, we see once again we had that major spike in August and September, and in a downward spiral, we're only having less than 1% of our students and employees being impacted. That's 145 of our students currently. And then, one thing we want to do, we know and we recognize that vaccinations have continued to be an opportunity for our community. And now we've transitioned to students who are ages 5 to 11, under 12, to be able to have an accessibility to vaccinations. So we'll continue to work with the Department of Health and to identify continued locations where those vaccinations can be readily available, and also can be readily available at retail pharmacies as CVS, Publix, Winn-Dixie, Walgreens, Walmart, and the medicine shop. And then also being able to have private contractors will be able to identify any dates that have been, we'll be moving through. So we can continue to keep that update on our social media. At the same token, be able to provide that ongoing update related to our website. And then growth management. Growth management is the link to our goal 4 for fiscal operation responsibility. This evening we will talk about Collins Pre-K 8, and this is an update for that. Our team continues to work collectively with the BOCC for approved for rezoning. We know that Collins will be brought to the board, or has been approved to be able to have that expansion related to having additional seats, over 500 seats that will be made available to alleviate some of the overcrowding in our middle schools in that particular area. And then the attendance boundary changes that will be impacted for August 2023 will be able to be scheduled for December 14th and January 11th to the board, and we'll have more information on our website. And then also we have continued to look at West Lake Drive site. We have purchased over 1,000 100 acres, sorry, which is proposed for elementary, middle, and high school. And that is property is projected to be as closed and completed on in this month of November. And then we'll be working collectively with the BOC on the hearing in February to be able to make certain that all the proper paperwork and acknowledgments have been identified through growth management. And then lastly, literacy will provide a literacy update from grades 6 through 12. One thing we're doing right now is continue to update our instructional frameworks. We've continued to obtain feedback from our ELA and reading teachers. And one thing they want to do is provide greater clarity on structures to provide whole group and teacher-led small group instruction. This continues to be an area of focus with our secondary level to be able to make that transition, have that gradual release of responsibility. Also being able to have a greater focus on common planning tools. How do we strengthen common planning where we can place information in our SharePoint folder for all stakeholders and teachers to have accessibility to, and to be able to further support teachers in common planning through data analysis, lesson studies, lesson cycles, to be able to implement small group and whole group. Our teachers are doing a really nice job through our subject area lead teachers and department leads, really driving PLCs and really focus on how we can really have a positive impact on students. And then continuing the accelerated learning opportunities to be able to include scaffolds, strategies, and ongoing supports, and recognizing those in our instructional guides so that it's just really eliminates the time for teachers being able to chase materials. So it's at their fingertips and it really makes sense to really push the rigorous tasks and complexity tasks of our students and helps them really create and leverage and identify background and skills for that reader to be successful. And then, you know, just recognize that our academic services team continues to offer ongoing professional development in the area, in all content areas, but this is particular for literacy, preparing and implementing small group instruction. At the same token, how do we look at literacy strategies to be able to look at text-based writing expectations, and then transitions to looking at trends as we look to walk classrooms, teacher to teacher, peer to peer, to be able to provide clarity and create common language so that our PLCs continue to be strengthened in our work. And then also district updates. You know, one of our speakers recognized that November is Family Engagement Month. Our Family and Community Engagement Department is excited to share this month with our families as we recognize that our families and our parents are the first educators in our community. But how do we, make certain that they're an essential part of what we do educationally and improve students through academic experiences to be able to increase graduation rates and the likelihood for our students to be able to transition to post-secondary education or career opportunities. I want to be able to recognize that the FACE department continues to offer ongoing virtual parent academies, and go on our website to recognize those under Family Engagement and Education. It's called the Power Hour. And we continue to make certain we have accessibility to our families so that we can work collectively to be able to build the capacity of our students academically, socially, emotionally, so they can continue to be successful within our school district. And then also a reminder of our school choice. School choice applications started on October 29th, and then they will remain open for December the 11th at 11:59. They close at 11:59. So these are the application window remains open. We have over 80 unique programs within our school district. So our parents, as we look at and identify choice offerings that we have really robust offerings, please take advantage of this opportunity and recognize that application window and that process and come familiar with our schools and what we offer. Thanks to our leads, our choice office, our teachers, our support staff, and our leaders for continuing to push our children and having pathways that lead to success. And then November the 15th through the 19th is recognized as American Education Week. So all of our parents, all of our community members, please take a moment for this week to recognize the hard work that our employees are implementing. As I said, the variant has had a major impact on stress levels on our schools, and also the ability to be able to hire individuals to be able to feel teachers are covering classes left and right every single day. Bus drivers are going over and beyond to have multiple routes. We have a number of paraprofessionals that are moving from one class to another to help. So let's recognize everybody that's in education for their hard work and dedication. And then this evening, we talked about community connections. We have 3 more. Tomorrow night would be Leonard High School to be able to talk about redistricting. And then November the 29th at Durant High School. And then December the 9th at Middleton High School to continue to educate our community of the purpose for redistricting and talk about strategic plan, the vision of the work every single day. And before I close out, Mrs. Snively asked me to address a number of issues tonight. So I'll take the time, just the 3 issues. The first one is the camera accessibility. And I want to make certain that we're clear about what we do and do not do. One thing please understand, we only have cameras in our facilities just to be able to make certain that we have surveillance and also access controls. It is illegal in the state of Florida to use any biometrics. And so while companies and vendors may have this ability, we do not use this within our school district, and it's illegal in the state of Florida to do so. So I want to make sure that we recognize that. And then also the community meetings, the stakeholder thought that it was rushed. I can tell you that I spoke for a minimum of 45 minutes yesterday and the day before to be able to talk about strategic planning, talk about the vision for the work, talk about areas of opportunity for improvement, how we need additional advocates to move forward in a collective effort to push Tallahassee for additional funding and education. And then I transitioned that meeting to our staff, who Dr. Welling had a chance to transition last night, and to be able to talk about redistricting and maps. And that was an opportunity for the community to be engaged. I do know that as I transitioned, it was around, I personally, around 6:56 or 6:58 p.m., and that our staff was there to around 7:30 minimum. And I know Mrs. Vaughn was there as well. So we want to make certain that no one ever feels rushed, and provided adequate time. We had 9 individuals there last night, and we had a number of staff members to be able to engage. And we'll have that same mentality at Leonard as well. And then panorama survey, last one, I'll let a panorama survey. This is a survey that's been around for many, many, many years throughout the nation. It's really a survey to be able to gain a pulse of how our students feel about the educational setting. No individual survey information or data is being released or used. Mr. McCauley, you want to just take a few highlights, and then we got to go because we got employee comment so I can close this portion.
And I can speak to just my own experiences with the survey, both here in Hillsborough and other districts. Ms. Brown oversaw administration last year, so certainly she could also share what was done and why it was done and how it was completed. The survey was born out of research involving over 1,000 school districts across the country and 10 million students being involved. Both Harvard and Johns Hopkins have been involved in the validation of the survey, the refinement of the items, et cetera, and then ultimately what the expression looks like regarding the student outcomes. There are 2 different scales that are used on this particular survey. One is SEL, so it's specifically looking at students' beliefs about themselves in the learning environment. And the measures that we have chosen to highlight for Hillsborough County are emotional regulation, growth mindset, self-efficacy, and social awareness. So those are specific to internalized feelings about yourself and how you might be in the learning environment. On the flip side of that, we also look at school and environmental factors, specifically school climate, school safety, sense of belonging, and teacher-student relationships. Those are meant to gather as much information as you can, just the students' perceptions of their learning environment. So it's not as internalized on themselves as much as is how do they feel about being in this school, in this classroom, et cetera. 2 things that I would really want to emphasize for the board as well as parents listening. One, the SEL side of the survey is not a clinical survey. It is not designed to highlight some sort of mental health aspect. It is purely developmental in nature and is written in such a way to help us understand what the student believes about themselves in a learning environment, and ultimately how we might use that information from a planning and instructional delivery standpoint. That information is the only information that is ultimately brought down to the teacher level. So teachers can use that information for their students as they are planning their lessons. So if they know that there are some kids in the classroom, for example, that just don't have a real high sense of efficacy, like, I don't believe I can do this, as reported on this survey, then the teachers know that there might be some things they can do in that planning and delivery of instruction where they really pay attention to that student. They could offer some opportunities for success, or they could do nothing more than just simply watch and listen and offer a hand on the shoulder. Whatever it may be, there's a litany of items that can be used.
All right, thank you, sir. I know that there's Mrs. Vaughn is in the queue, so
We'll go ahead and start with the employee comment, and then we'll go back to Member Vaughn's comments. Thank you so much, Superintendent Davis and Mr. McCauley. Thank you to our employees who've had to wait a little bit longer than we usually plan. We'll now take employee input. Even though we hear public comment at the beginning of the meeting, it is sometimes difficult for employees of our district to attend meetings at 4 p.m. There are many ways for employees to make their voices heard, including through union representatives, emails, phone calls, one-on-one conversations, and public comment at the beginning of the meeting. The board wants to hear from you. With this section of our agenda, we are creating another avenue for employees to speak to the board. We are setting aside 30 minutes for employees of the district to speak to the board about any issues that are on their mind. This is not intended to be a discussion about specific agenda item on tonight's agenda, but rather an opportunity for you to speak to the board about any issues related to your job or the district. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. I will now call the first two speakers, Mrs. Heidi Glick and Mr. Johnny Green. Thank you. Mrs. Glick?
Good evening. I actually could use 15 minutes, but I'll try to go fast. Okay. So good evening, everybody. And I don't know if you guys know about this, but there seems to be a huge problem with our amazing brand new computers. And that is that the hubs are failing. And we have been told that there is no replacement. We have been told there is no fix. So what that means is no more computers, no more Canvas, no more digital attendance, no more online. And I'm going to be teaching them how to use a pen with a spring action. That will be the new way we do things. And then we'll have an electric and a manual pencil sharpener. So this has been brought up to me by my school, by other schools, and it's an issue. And our tech person has told us there's no fix. So I don't need to know what the fix, okay. Wait, don't take this off my time.
Yes, Superintendent Davis, we'll just leave it at the end so that way you can.
Yeah, just if it can get fixed, that's awesome. The second thing I wanted to talk about was paper. I am using that tremendously. It's awesome. And I want to encourage any of the other faculty members that are listening at every school. It's fabulous. 24-hour turnaround for essays. I've actually made paper a requirement for my students when they have to do a peer edit and then they have to have a paper edit. And I also know that when the essays are being submitted, whoever is reading them is keeping a very strong mental health eye on it. We had a student referred from our school and everything is fine. But I mean, just the fact that they did that, I thought was awesome. And then my third thing is about mental health. I agree. We do all this stuff at the beginning of the year to make sure that they're socially and emotionally great. And then we must have done that because we've never gone back to it. Oh, wait. The English classes with the children alone on a computer where the teacher sits somewhere, or even if they're walking around, they're now evaluating their own mental health. What happens with that? I'd love to know when I'm getting the results of that survey because I am a licensed mental health practitioner and try to do that as much as possible in my classroom. And now we are giving them in the 3 weeks when we come back from Thanksgiving, they've got 3 different exams. What kind of concern? I mean, teachers are flipping out, kids are flipping out. If we are truly concerned, I'm not an exam person, but I get it. Okay, so let's do our majors. Let's do our 4 English, Math, Social Studies, Science. Don't need to do elective exams. Don't need to do an art exam. That should be projects anyway, in my opinion, but again, not an art teacher. However, I really think we need to rethink all the exams that we are giving because it is way too much. Okay, now I'm done. Bye.
Thank you so much, Member Glick. I'm sorry. Thank you so much, Heidi Glick. Maybe a future member. Superintendent Davis or Dr. Weeks will address your concerns. Thank you. Mr. Green?
Yeah, thank you. As we know, we are celebrating ESP Day, the 17th, but sometimes I just want to just share a little light on about a lot of things as I get out more into the district. Our ESPs are totally stressed out. Totally stressed out. I met one a couple of weeks ago. She just won the non-instruction support at her school. Now she's leaving. She's leaving because she's not feeling valued. She's been put in the classroom. She was told find your own supplies. Just been put out there by herself. I went to another school, whereas that they had the ESPs sit on one side and the instructors sit on another side during pre-planning. The candy and the nice tablecloth was on all just for the instruction side. Every single time I'm hearing, I got a call today about one just ready to leave. And it's not just all about the pay. They're really upset about the pay. Really upset about. I want people to know we're not done bargaining for our ESPs. So we still, once we get closed out with our structure, we're going to go and finish bargaining for our ESPs for money and for contract language. But when we hire people, let's make sure we hire and train them the right way. So with that, it was, on a personal note, it was the first week of school, and we all know things happen the first week of school. We know that. This parent emailed transportation. This parent emailed the superintendent. This parent emailed Chris Farkas, and nothing was done about a child being left on a bus. A student was left on a bus. The bus driver passed his stop the first week of school. Passed his stop, forgot the student was on the bus. Where the bus was headed to, the emails after emails, well, we're looking at the camera, we're looking at this. That child was my child. That was my child, my seventh grader. And to this day, I still have not heard anything about what happened. Nothing. Only thing I heard was we changed the bus driver. But there was no follow-up, there was nothing. Talk to the superintendent, talk to Chris Farkas. So when we hire people, let's make sure we give them the proper training. That could have been someone else's child. Could have been someone else's child. So as a parent, understand the frustration that not just our employees are going through, but our community are going through. So I try to do things the right way as a parent, not use a positioning thing, do the right thing, but let's be transparent. Let's give proper training. Let's hire people. Let's pay them what they need to pay so we can get good people into this district.
Thank you very much, Mr. Green. I'm sure Superintendent will be addressing all your concerns. Now we'll continue on. I know Superintendent Davis, you've completed your comments, and I know Member Vaughn, you have some comments?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. First, I wanted to kind of piggyback on the superintendent and Member Snively's question about the meeting last night. I'm very confused when I see a speaker stand up and talk about the meeting, especially when there's been mistruths being spread on social media. The meeting last night, I came in, as Superintendent Davis said, probably around 7:30. He spoke for a good 40 minutes. I also often say he's very verbose. And so he had given a very thorough and very well presented summary of our strategic plan. Then Dr. Whalen did a very good presentation on the redistricting. There was one question that we addressed. I didn't hear any follow-up about not following state statute or the follow-up comment. Then we proceeded to allow people to go to the map area. That was at least 20 to 25 minutes. Staff members rotated around the room. We showed people where they could make comments, both on paper and on the computer. I interacted with every single person there, introduced myself, asked if they had any questions, made myself available, as did staff members. So to hear that it was rushed or that people weren't able to give feedback, I'm very confused about. When I offered my assistance to people, they said they were completely fine. They didn't have any questions. So I'm not sure why there's a disconnect from what our meetings look like and what's being spread around on social media or what people are saying at the dais. But I can tell you, Dr. Whalen was there. We had several staff members was there, they absolutely did not take maps down until they had asked every single person there if they had any feedback or any thoughts on the map. So I would just like to clarify about that, about the meeting. Now I've used up all my time, so I'm going to have to quickly go. I thought we had 3 minutes, Pablo. The next thing is I just wanted to ask the superintendent to address a few things. One, I would love you to talk about our staffing issue. I get continual questions, and I'm sure my fellow board members do repeatedly, and I know it's a nationwide issue and it's not specific to Hillsborough County. But if there are things that we're doing in order to address it, I think the public needs to know that we're aware that it's a big concern and a drain that it's on our staff members. Also, you mentioned that we're doing things to make vaccines available to the community, but I've had several parents reach out and ask if we're going to have any vaccination sites available at schools and make that more accessible to our students. And then lastly, I would just like to get a small update on where we are at ESE. We've had several meetings in the past where we've talked about our ESE department and things that we can do to make it more accessible to our parents and to strengthen our ESE department, especially when we talk about charter schools. So I'd like to know what we're doing in regards to the ESE department.
Thank you, Member Bond. Superintendent Davis?
Yes, ma'am, through the chair. We definitely are continuing to work to create a longer, stronger bench of candidates within our school district. From our side of it, we've had already 2 job fairs that we've already had to date. We've had one in September, one of October. We will have another one in November that we will transition. December. I know we got pushed back to December and do the holidays, and all to be able to identify teachers and non-instructional staff to be able to lead the work. To date, we are continually meeting with local universities, USF, UT, whomever, and having conversations with HCC about creating greater pathways. We are providing open contracts right now to our current interns that are in our school district. We are identifying individuals who are going to be able to transition and finish their degree in May, and talking to them currently about open contracts to be able to fill positions. And then I will personally be sending out a postcard invite to anyone that has retired in the last 5 years, asking to potentially come back to the school district. The biggest thing is in the last year, if you retired in the last year, they can't come back without negatively impacting the FRS. So working with the Tallahassee to be able to either put legislative language or create emergency rule to be able to bypass that, because right now we have out of 67 counties, 55 counties responded to a survey that we asked FAS to send out. We have over 4,100 instructional vacancies within the state of Florida. That means that 84,000 students aren't being served. At the same token, we have around 1,900 bus driver vacancies throughout the state of Florida as well, meaning over 150,000 students aren't being transitioned to and from school every single day, which is a problem. So we're working diligently not only to have conversations with our local partners about having open contracts, but continue to have fairs and then trying to recruit those individuals who retired in the last 5 years. So thank you for HR continue to do that. Related to vaccinations, one of the biggest thing is we had an opportunity to meet with the U.S. Department Deputy Secretary of Education about a week and a half ago to come into Hillsborough County just to talk about how we've opened up in a safe, successful, and social manner. And through those conversations, we had and started to talk about vaccinations at the school level. We've got a number of guidance from the U.S. Department of Education about offering vaccinations at our schools. The issue is from Tallahassee, from the Department of Health. All of the vaccinations have been transitioned to the Department of Health and other hospitals. So right now we're working with our team to be able to identify if schools can have access to for vaccinations to offer it to our students who are under the age of 12. So we're working diligently to have access to that. We know that a limited number of vaccinations were requested at the state level versus other states. So we'll just continue to make sure we're working with our local medical health experts to be able to gain accessibility to that. And then ESC, I'm going to transition to Dr. Monica Vera-Tirado to be able to talk about some of the current issues we're facing with ESC and that we have continued engagement with the state.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to address your questions. I want to start with, I think the most important thing, of course, is the strong partnership that we're building with academic services and ensuring that our school leaders, teachers, that we understand that, again, as we always say, students with disabilities are students first, and the general education classroom is where kids are either being served, or our goal is for them to be able to have their needs met whenever possible in that context. And so the partnerships with academic services through and our transformation network, through the walkthroughs, the lead meetings, we're really excited to see the level of conversation that is emerging with our school leaders, really seeking to find those innovative solutions to really close those achievement gaps and learning gaps that, yes, have been impacted by COVID along with everyone else. But of course, for our students with disabilities, there's going to be a bigger impact. We also face the same staff shortages. I'm sure you're all aware. So that's a big issue, and the staff morale as they're really stretched thin right now to cover needs. I know, Member Vaughn, one of the specific areas that we discussed was that is a challenge is our evaluation timelines, and those would be for our students who are initially being considered for eligibility. We do have a partnership with Innovation, Kim Bates and her shop, Student Services. We have plans to really strengthen our outreach, to work with our school psychologists and other team members that are leads for evaluations, to really help leverage their support where it's needed. So maybe one school is okay where they are right now with their number of evaluations, but another school needs a lot of support. And so we've had a lot of success with our conversations also with CTA to talk about the ability for staff to be able to support other schools where they have those needs, as we are, coming off of a delay in some of those evaluations that were not able to be done in the same way they would have typically been done when school buildings were closed. So we have work in that, but we have a plan on that. And, I just continue to encourage our families to reach out to us. We're building relationships, continuing to support those relationships, I should say, with our advocacy groups, our families. And we look forward to continued feedback as we improve our services, and appreciate any opportunity to discuss, where we are with exceptional student education. Superintendent Davis mentioned legislative priority, the DD bill, which is exciting. You all probably know that is it's one of your legislative priorities to have developmental delay, which starts with our pre-K students. Federal law allows that to stay till age 9, so that kids don't have a gap in services. When they start kindergarten right now, the current statute, all services end under developmental delay right before the day before they turn 6. That could be the 4th week of school. And many of those students might not be eligible for another area because they're so young. The first few weeks of kindergarten or kindergarten in general is not a time that, many eligibilities can be appropriate for students. So developmental delay, the flexibility to have that be allowed is going to be a wonderful thing. And it passed the first Senate committee unanimously. It's being carried in the House. They haven't scheduled it yet, so we got to keep our eyes on. Kristen Davis is watching to make sure it gets scheduled in the House, gets heard in the House, and we hope that will be something that will pass. And thank you guys for supporting that good bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Torado. Member Hahn?
Thank you. I'm so glad that you brought up these subjects. Certainly workforce development and recruitment is so important. I just want to add that one, thank you to you and your staff for really being laser focused on this. Yes, it's a national crisis, but we've been talking about it so much, and I'm really excited to see a lot of these action steps starting to come to fruition. Both at the short term and long term. Dr. Whalen was out at the Early Childhood Literacy Fair 2 weekends ago with her staff. Hundreds of families came through that fair. She was sharing with them about the opportunities to work in Hillsborough County Public Schools, and we had some really good feedback and applications. So I'm really didn't think of the fair as being part of that effort, but I'm super excited that it was, and we'll continue to do that at the next few fairs. But also, Shay McRae, you shared how you're building that pipeline of future teachers, and being somebody who worked in that space, in that world for over 16 years, I've got really excited about the work you're doing. And I'm not going to say too much because I know it's coming to the board and Mr. Porter's going to slap my hand. But anyway, also around the pre-K ESC, I'm so glad, I'm really excited about how this bill is moving through the legislature because, again, my career from when I began as a teacher and over my 7-year career was all in special education. And those early years, as you know, my heart is in those early years. I understand that if we make a bigger investment in those early years, we will not have the overrepresentation of students, later on, that they will have their services and they will not require special ed services. And it just has a lot of implications and ripple effect. So the fact that students are going to be able to potentially, if they enter in kindergarten and have that continuity of services, I mean, that is a game changer for their success in K-12 education and beyond. And it also is a game changer for families who are going to feel supported, because that's a very delicate time of transition. Their babies are now coming into our schools and it's a whole new world. And so I'm really excited about that. So thank you for the update and thank you for the time.
Yes.
Thank you, Member Hahn. Now the following items will now be heard. C401A, C402, C602, C603, C606, C608, C616, C1001, C1002, C1003, C1004, C1201, and C1202. We will now discuss the approval of the administrative appointments. Superintendent Davis will highlight this item.
Yes, Madam Chair. This is a 401A is to bring administrative appointments to the board. So the board has a full snapshot of all the recommendations, positions, the work sites, the effective date, and where they are transferring from, just for transparency within our school district. So I'll leave it at that.
I need a motion and a second to approve item C401A. I have a motion by Member Hahn and a second by Member Perez. Member Vaughn pulled this item. Do you have a question or comment?
I do. Thank you. Yes, I just think it's really important as we're moving forward, if we ever see some new positions on this transfer list, just to have a conversation about it. So I wanted to talk about the last one, the coordinator position. And working with staff, I learned that this is a temporary position where we're using ESSER funding that was specifically allocated for searching for and finding some of our lost students. So I just wanted to kind of clarify, as I mentioned, when people look through, we always have conversations. Are we heavy at the district office? Are we heavy at ROSAC? Are we creating new positions when we're talking about, not being able to support our teachers in the classroom? So could you tell us a little bit more about this position, Superintendent Davis?
Yes, ma'am. To the chair, Ms. Vaughn, this is a position that has been carved out through our ESSER 2 grant. As you know, there's been categoricals that we have to be able to follow through assurances. In this particular area, we've got a couple $1 million to be able to address students who are not enrolled within our school district. To date, I think we have around 2,000 students that are of age that have not transitioned into an educational setting. So being able to identify where the location of every one of those students within our community and make certain that they're involved with education in some way, shape, or form. And so what we have to do is be able to capture information, capture data, be able to work closely with social workers and our staff to be able to validate and report back the insurances related to the ESSER grant. This is a temporary position. We were very clear with all the applicants that were interviewed in this process that this is only a 2-year stint. After the 2 years, this position will be closed. At that particular time, we hope that COVID and the impact will transition out, but it just mirrors the same duration of ESSER within our community, within the actual award and the grant. But this is a position to be able to coordinate all those efforts. I'll transition to Mrs. Bays to be able to go further into depth.
Yes, sir. Thank you. When we first learned about this grant, the non-enrollment assistance grant, we had at that time 11,000 students that were unaccounted for. Since that time, because of the dedicated efforts of the district staff and the school leaders, we have managed to locate 9,000 of those students. When we first found out about this with those 11,000 missing students, we were asking for an additional 6 positions. We wanted to have a counselor, a nurse, a parent liaison, a security guard, in addition to a coordinator and a data processor, because with 11,000 missing students, we figured we would need to have all of those supports in place. Since we have fortunately located 9,000 of them, we now only feel that we really need the data processor and the coordinator to extend all of the benefits to students, to find the causation for why they have not been attending, to help support them and their families, and to track everything that we're doing in locating and supporting them.
I just had one more question. So when we were talking earlier, even though this is ESSER's money and it's not coming out of our general fund, we estimated that even if we found 10 students, that it would pay for itself. So I just wanted to clarify that. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Member Vaughn, Superintendent Davis, and Ms. Bays. Please now vote when your lights appear. The vote is unanimous. We will move on to 402, reorganization of the Student Nutrition Service Department. Superintendent Davis will highlight this item.
Yes, ma'am. Prior to my arrival to Hillsborough County, Mrs. Hall, arrived to be able to drive food and nutrition. And in that process, we know that, every leader comes in, they want to be able to have an opportunity to really assess the current organization and make particular changes. Due to COVID and the responding so quickly to be able to make certain that our students had the essential, Mrs. Hall did not have the ability to be able to look and create change in the reorganization to ensure that her department continues to be efficient and coordinated along the way. So this just is a number of job descriptions that have been updated in the reorg as presented to the board. As you can see, some of the job descriptions have not been updated since 1987. And just being able to go through some of these descriptors to be able to clean them up and really align them for the roles and responsibilities in which they're working every single day. So this does not impact general fund in any way, shape, or form. And this is overall, when you look at the financial impact, it's an additional $2,200 to the organization. And this is all will be paid out of food, nutrition, federal dollars.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. I need a motion and a second to approve item 402. I have a motion by Member Gray and a second by Member Washington. Member Vaughn, you pulled this item. Do you have a question or comment?
Yes, thank you. You guys did such a great job of explaining this to us and really going through this reorganization. I just wanted to point out, because you did such a nice job, this doesn't put anyone in jeopardy of losing their job. I know you said when people see this sort of reorganization, that's the first thing that people are concerned about is job losses. And I just wanted to clarify as we go through this, as we spoke about, that no one's going to lose their job under this reorganization. It's really just to clean up and maybe offer more opportunity for growth later on. Okay. All right. Thank you. Those are the only comments I wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Please vote when your lights appear. (402) passes unanimously. Next is 602, agreements of understanding with the community-based training, CBT, sites to provide training experiences for students with disabilities, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Superintendent Davis will highlight this item.
Yes, ma'am. This is an agreement of understanding with our community-based training sites. We have a number of sites that have a beautiful partnership with Hillsborough County organization to really help our students with who have disabilities to be able to be exposed to future employment opportunities and have pre-level skills. So this is identified 90 students within our school districts that will be able to work at 7 sites. They will be able to look at pre-employment skills, to be able to look at how they interact, be able to look at organizational skills, clerical skills, sales, decorating, event planning, and support. So this is a great opportunity for our students to be able to get into the community and be able to have a transition to post-secondary opportunities within our community. So this is paid out of IDA funds, which are federal funds, and this will pay for transportation and staff to be able to serve and help our students be successful.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. I need a motion and a second to approve item 602. I have a motion by Member Vaughn and a second by Member Washington. Member Vaughn, you pulled this item. Do you have any questions or comment?
Yes, thank you. I just really wanted to highlight this. I think it's an amazing opportunity for our students to get the job skills. I also wanted parents to understand that this is an opportunity in case you have a student with disabilities who you want to have an opportunity to get some job preparation, and make sure that the public knew that we offer this, that we partner, and that this is a great opportunity for our students with disabilities to learn these skills.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Please vote when your lights appear.
Really ready.
And the vote passes unanimously. Next is 603, budget amendments for the period ending in October 31st, 2021. Superintendent Davis, will you highlight this item?
Yes, ma'am. This is our budget amendment in the period of October 31st, and I'll transition to Mrs. Johnson, our CFO, to be able to discuss this item.
Good evening, Chair and Co-Chair. Congratulations, a member of the board and superintendent. Ms. Garcia will be presenting, our budget manager will be presenting this budget amendment for the month in October. It will be a brief presentation.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Davis. The monthly financials for the period ending October 31st, 2021 had very little activity. As you can see, column A, which is the adopted budget from September 9th, 2021. The column B is the budget on September 30th, 2021. Column C is the current budget. And column D are the changes. As you can see, there's very little changes to the budget in column D. Column E, which is the actuals, the expenditures continue to exceed the revenue, which gives us an ending fund balance at the end of October of $30.2 million.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia.
The cash,
Sorry. I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
I'll be glad to be done. The cash flows show at the end of October a cash balance of 78.1. And at the end of June, we project to have a cash balance of 81.4, which is a positive balance for every month. The bell curve shows a trajectory of the cash balance, 78.1. The month of October is our lowest cash balance, and the month of December is our highest. That's where the majority of the property tax dollars are received. At the end of the year, we project to have the 81.4. You can see how it tapers down. The fund balance projections at the end of October, we had 30.2 ending fund balance. And at the end of June, we project to have 57.4 fund balance if nothing changes, if we do not get additional revenue or we do not reduce expenditures. If that is the case, then we will end up with an unrestricted of $17.8 million, which is a 1.2% fund balance, which is less than the 2% required state. In order to get the 2% unrestricted fund balance, we would need a $30.5 million unrestricted. For a 3%, we would need 45.8 unrestricted, and to get a 5%, we would have to have 76.4. This is on top of the categorical and the inventories. The end. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Superintendent Davis, you pulled this item. Do you have any questions or comments? Okay. Well, let's go ahead, and I need a motion and a second to approve item 603. I have a motion by Member Gray. I have a second by Member Vaughn. Do we have any questions or comments? Member Vaughn?
Thank you. And thank you for patiently sitting with me as I go through each and every single piece of the budget amendment. I always appreciate your patience because I have a lot of questions. My questions aren't about these specific amendments because you addressed a lot of them during our meeting, but I wanted to clarify one thing that we talked about. We've repeatedly talked about once the ESSER money is gone, the dramatic shortfall that we're facing in operations as a district. We also talked about the governor's proposed allocation of upping the percentage of the per pupil allocation I think it was $230 to $40 per pupil. And if that actually passes legislation and goes through, can you clarify how that would affect our operational shortfall in our budget in general once the ESSER's money is gone?
Well, that would be a positive impact on our revenues generated if they increase the student based on our total student count of 186,000 kids. That would give us additional revenue of 55 million. That our overall operational deficit right now is 71 million. So that would reduce operation deficit by $55 million. So that would be a positive outcome.
Would it be fair to say that anybody who is concerned about our operational deficit and isn't a proponent of an additional tax referendum, it would behoove them to contact the governor or the state legislation and let them know how important upping this funding is to our district and how crucial it is for our student success?
Yes. Hopefully this bill passed and the government proposed that bill for future of our students for fiscal year 22-23.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Member Gray?
So, I hate to say yes or no, but so let's do a yes or no. In your experience with the budget, and Superintendent Davis, is the amount of monies after the American Rescue Plan, ESSER 3, I know we have 2/3 of it. When that is finished, can we sustain fiduciarily wise this district and all its needs and services and instructional costs? Can we sustain this district without going out for a referendum or a millage, an increase of millage?
I would say without additional money being placed on the basic student allocation and to help us with that as the governor's proposed, then you're going to need additional revenue.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's not a yes or no, but it just depends on what we can do to advocate through local legislation to be able to put more money into public education.
Mhm.
And that will allow us the $50+ million will help us tremendously. So if that goes through, then we'll be in a good place. However, if it doesn't, we just got to go back to the drawing board and figure out what we can continue to do to find additional revenue streams.
And I thank you for that answer. And I ask only because we're going to hear tonight some grants, really great ones. The Washington, D.C. is an example. And I just want to make sure that we know that without the grants are temporary and they come and they go and they get used, and certain programs are started and then they start and then they have to end and all that. So we really want to go to a sustainable flow of money. And that's the reason for my question. And never feel, Ms. Johnson, Susan Garcia, that you can't state those types of phrases because you know very much what we're dealing with. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gray. Please vote when your lights appear. And 603 passes unanimously. Next up is 606, is sole source of the Platinum Ambulance Simulator. Superintendent Davis will highlight this item.
Yes, ma'am. This is an opportunity for us to provide a ambulance simulator to our students at Aparicio Levy. We have a number of our students in emergency medical technicians, and for them to be able to really be involved in a simulator for training students in dispatch allows them to be able to replicate traumatic care, our patient intubation. We're looking at IVs, hanging fluids, and the simulator rocks as if they're driving. So this is really to make certain that we use funds to be able to put some of the state-of-the-art equipment in front of our children. So we do have a really good relationship with Tampa Fire and Hillsborough County Fire Rescue, and they'll be able to use this facility and this equipment as well. And this is all being paid out of $74,000 from our CARES Act 2 federal workforce development funds. And it's all linked to be able to upgrade equipment. And we're doing just that at this particular location.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. I need a motion and a second to approve 606. I have a motion by Member Hahn and a second by Member Washington. Member Vaughn, you pulled this item. Do you have any questions or comments?
No, I just appreciate the superintendent clarifying that this again is part of ESSERS that was very specific to using equipment for workforce development. I mean, I think this is a fantastic item, but as we navigate a limited budget, I just want to make sure that when we are approving these items, the public is very clear. This is nothing that comes out of our general fund. It's not even a flexible ESSERS account. It's very specific, and that's why we are making the decisions on some of these items. I just want to be clear and transparent with the public. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. And I also wanted to make a comment. We know that workforce development is so important, and not every child needs to attend a four-year college to be very successful. And I think it's really important when we look at the needs we've seen, through COVID, that we need more people in the medical field. Tampa is one of the fastest growing cities in the country. And the idea that we are able to offer this opportunity for children, I think it's really wonderful. Even my own child is looking into this program. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you very much. At this time, please vote when your lights appear. And it passes unanimously. 616 piggyback, which is temporary staffing services. Superintendent Davis, will you please highlight this item?
Yes, ma'am. This is a piggyback with a temporary staff and service. As we spoke about, being able to make certain that we have additional support staff within our schools, whether it be food nutrition, whether it be substitutes, whether it be custodial staff members, paraprofessionals. We're just trying to find individuals or proactive solutions to bring more individuals to our organization. To be very transparent, just like the Kelly Subs agreement, Kelly Subs is around. There is a markup between I think it's a 26.9% markup with Kelly Subs. This is in the same ballpark related to a 26 to 28% markup as well to be able to recruit individuals. If we had to hire these individuals, we would be paying between 38 to 43% as we would have fringe benefits and connected to that additional cost. So just being, very clear and transparent with this, we're trying everything we can. And, Dr. Hahn made me think about, you look at the literacy fairs, being able to put our, human resources teams there. We went to a small business expo this weekend as well. We're trying everything that we can to be able to get out there. So this is up to a $2 million expenditure through general funds, but these are all positions that we haven't filled to date. So be able to make certain that we bring another proactive solution to be able to help, as Johnny spoke about this evening, to help our ESPs feel valued. And this is going to make certain that we fill the positions so that we have a staffing ready to be able to help our students and help their other colleagues be successful.
I need a motion and a second to approve item 616. I have a motion by Member Hahn and a second by Member Washington. Member Vaughn, you pulled this item. Do you have a question or comment?
Yes, thank you. As you know, I'm very weary about this. I have reservations that a staffing agency that offers left is going to be able to get employees that we can't, but we have to do everything we can to try to make sure that we're supporting our schools and addressing the staffing crisis. I just want to reiterate that this is a contract that can be ended at any point. There's no long term to it. And what I would also like is, to ask if we can have it on the suspended agenda, at least quarterly, an update about whether this is actually getting us more employees, if it's impactful. And if not, we can make a motion to end this and go back to, recruiting full time. I just want to clarify and make sure that we get updates on it and that it's not a binding contract. We can veer away from this at any time.
And I just want to be very clear, we are going to be unrelentless in our recruitment efforts for the district as well. And if this provides us a pipeline that these individuals can become our employees in 90 days, that's our goal from it.
Awesome.
Thank you, Dr. Whalen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Gray?
Hear me? You're on fire tonight.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And we're very keenly very aware that temporary services for, Kelly services, anything that comes in a form of a privatization will be perceived as threatening in terms of hiring and possibly, taking jobs from those bus drivers or those food service folks. But this is an effort to really supplement, and we are in emergency condition. And I just want the ESP, the unions, to know that Superintendent Davis and Dr. Whalen, we're doing this because we have to. That's the only options we have right now. And it is an attempt to relieve the workload. And that hopefully will increase the morale because everyone is stretched to the max. So my sincere thanks, Superintendent Davis, for being eclectic, and Dr. Whalen. And we may have to continue in this vein. So at any rate, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gray. Please vote when your lights appear. And it passes unanimously. Item 1001, approve the contract for Riverview Academy High School. Superintendent Davis will highlight this item.
Through the chair, this approval for the contract for Riverview Academy High School. This was approved in July 28th of 2020, and this was projected to open on August 2022. The location is going to be in Riverview, and this is going to be grades from 9 through 12. They're going to start out the first year from grades 9 and 10th grade to be able to serve around 350 students, and then transition to the end of the fifth year to be able to have 900 students within this school. And this is a technical agreement that they qualify for a 5-year agreement.
I need a motion and a second to approve item 1001.
Mine doesn't work. Someone press.
I have a motion by Member Vaughn and a second by Member Washington. Member Vaughn, you pull this item. Do you have any questions or comments?
I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I think it's very important, as we've been having so many conversations about charter schools, not to have any go by on a consent agenda without having a discussion about them. I think it's important to clarify that the board had approved this previously, so this is not an approval for the actual charter school itself, that the charter school has already been approved. This is just to approve the contract itself. And so I just want to be clear on all of the charter school votes that we take, exactly what we're voting on, what stage it's at, what ability we have as a board to vote yes or no on these issues, and just be very clear and transparent with the public. I do see here that this is going to compete with Spoto, Riverview, and Brandon High School, which are all B or C schools. So it is going to go ahead and it's going to be, competing with our Brandon schools. I want to make that clear to anybody who's listening. So those are my thoughts on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Please vote when your lights appear.
Stacy? Let's get the WD-40.
Passes unanimously. Next, 1002, approve the contract for Big Bend Academy of Math and Science. Superintendent Davis, will you please highlight this item?
Yes, ma'am. The application for Big Bend Academy for Math and Science was approved on May the 15th, 2018. They took a 3-year deferment to open. They are planning to open in August of 22. And they're only going to open for kindergarten first. They're going to be projected to be from a K5 K8, excuse me. The first year is going to be kindergarten. They will be located at the Riverview Academy Math and Science School for 1 year until their facility is complete. So next year they'll have 54 students, and then they'll transition to be able to serve in their 5th year 990 students in K through 8.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. I need a motion and a second to approve item C 1002. I have a motion by Member Gray and I have a second by Member Washington. Member Vaughn, you pulled this item. Do you have any questions or comments?
I do. I just want to clarify this again as another contract approval. It's not the first approval for this. How many students is this going to 990 after 5 years. So roughly, do we know how much money that equates to out of our general fund for a school that is 990 students after 5 years?
Do it real fast. It's a minimum of $7.6 million.
Okay. So I just want people to have an understanding that as we approve these contracts, we're talking about anywhere from $7 to $10 million or $5 to $10 million on each contract that we approve coming out of our general fund. The next question I had is, I noticed that a lot of these charter schools are going in the area where in our growth plan, we've talked about needing more schools, and we have a plan to build more schools in this area, but we're also approving these charter schools. So how are we mitigating our plans for growth while also approving these charter schools? Because there's a possibility we're not going to need that we're approving a 5 to 10-year plan and allocating resources towards managing this growth when we're also approving charter schools. So how are we making sure that we're mitigating both the expansion of charter schools and the growth that we're planning on addressing?
Yes, ma'am, to the chair. We know that in the next 18 years we'll have to build 15 schools. So in that process, and that's all, the majority of those schools are going to be in the South County area, and some will be in East County. So we're just continuing to focus on every single year, a couple years out, what's projected to be able to pop up from, whether it be a private institution, whether it be a charter school, whether it be a public institution, looking at the student stations and making adjustments as we need. So as student stations continue to be overflow, and we see that there's going to be an additional school at going to that area as a charter school, we're just continuing to watch, and we make adjustments on an annual basis. But growth and development is continue to make that a priority so that we don't overbuild and have additional student stations that we do not need within the school district.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. Are you done? Member Hahn?
Thank you, Member Combs. Ms. Johnson, when we were going over the budget amendment, we discussed some of the student numbers, the actuals and the projected, and then the actuals. Were the numbers, I think what I recall is we grew in our numbers and the charter school numbers dropped. Right. And how much revenue is that going to give us?
We lost, when we did the budget, remember, we lost 28 million to McRae
Right.
in the Family Empowerment Scholarship. It'll bring that money right back to us. It will be like 555,000 more revenue so that 28 million is coming back.
Right. So I just point that out just to say we're doing something right, because the numbers are moving in our direction now. The charter school numbers are dropping the enrollment, and our numbers are growing. So I know, I just want to point that out, because I know a lot of times we were like, oh, we talk about competition and what we have to do as a district to get kids back. So I just wanted to highlight that, because we are getting kids back. And so I think that's a statement, a testament to the superintendent and his staff and the hard work they're doing to, really improve our competitiveness in the market. So thank you.
And I appreciate Dr. Hahn making that announcement and making that statement, because we get kids back every single day from charter schools, and it's about relationships. It's about instructional opportunities. It's about offering co-ing and extracurricular activities, and students want to be a part of it. So thanks for acknowledging this team works tremendously hard to make that a reality.
Well, they're doing great things, and it's showing in the data, and it's showing up in our financials. So keep up the good work. Really excited about it.
Thank you, Member Hahn. Member Gray?
So my only fear is the long-term effects. For example, with Eisenhower located on Big Bend, we know that's a fragile school. We know that the competition for an Academy of Math and Science will probably put Eisenhower, for lack of better words, with less population, not unlike what's happening with the third IDEA school located in Winona-Sassa, which is now subtracted from two of the neighboring schools, which are both in low amount of students. I think also, and I'm just saying in generalistic terms, there's not an even trade, no matter how thin you slice it. You know, we say that, oh, we're losing so-and-so, but we're gaining so-and-so. The truth is, or the future of our public schools is at a very dangerous point. And I look at it as the future of our public schools whenever we look at this whole scheme of things. And the decisions that are being made, I will say yes on this because I don't have a choice. There's one other that I will say something else because I do have a choice. But right now, I'm not really, I'm not thrilled at the charter school movement. I especially am not thrilled with the franchising going on, the lack of oversight, the lack of accountability. When we get to the next school, the lack of ESE, the lack of gifted, the lack of high needs, paying attention to our high needs kids. So while I will say yes to this one, I just, for the record, I definitely think it's going to end some of our public schools that are nearby. And thank you, Superintendent Davis, for making the neighboring schools eclectic. But boy, it's going to take one heck of a movement to get schools like Eisenhower to be the winning school versus this. So that's my comments. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Member Gray. And I want to echo a lot of the same sentiments that Member Gray and Member Vaughn had. The other big concern for me as we grow is really the safety of the South County. Many of those charter schools are not shelters. And we know with the expansion and the growth, Tampa is one of the largest growing areas, especially South County. And so when we do have an emergency, and many of our community members, need those shelters, they expect those shelters. So if something occurred, if a catastrophic event was occurring, those shelters would no longer be in place. I don't think many people realize the role that schools play beyond educating, but also just that many of these charter schools are not equipped for shelters and are not made for shelters. Is that correct, Superintendent Davis?
Yes, ma'am. We know that the one thing we do well in Hillsborough County, with partnership with BOCC, we identify schools that are shelters, and they help partnership with paying for that. So we do have a number of shelters in our school district to make accessibility during any type of emergency.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think it's really important that we keep that in mind as we open more and more charter schools in South County, and how that impacts not just children, but it impacts our community as well. Thank you. With no more comments, please vote when your lights appear. This item passes unanimously. Next is 1004, approve of the contract renewal for Independence Academy. Superintendent Davis will highlight this item.
Yes, ma'am. 1004 is approval for renewal of Independence Academy. This is the third renewal. They're located in Dover, and 2019 was the last time they've obtained a school grade to the Department of Education. They have a grade of a B school. They serve over 900 students from K through 8, and they opened up in 2007. So just bringing that third renewal back to the board.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Davis. I need a motion and a second to approve item 6-1004. I have a motion by Member Gray, and I have a second by Member Washington. Member Vaughn, we both pulled this item. Do you have a question?
I just want to clarify. So this is not a contract, just a first contract after something we've approved. This is a renewal for a charter school that's already been there. And is it serving 900 students right now?
Yes, ma'am, through the chair. Serving 900 students. The original contract was in 2007, and this is a 5-year. They've asked for a 5-year extension.
And these are the other schools in the area: Bailey, Dover Elementary, Burnett, and Tomlin Middle School?
That is correct.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have right now. Thank you.
Ma'am.
Member Gray? Oh, I'm sorry, Member Hahn?
I think we hit it at the same time. What are the are these are in South County? What are the capacity? What's the capacity of these other schools that are listed?
I'll have to get that for you. We can look that up, and I'll get it.
I was just curious.
Yes,
'Cause,
ma'am.
capacity is such an issue in South County. I was just curious
Yes,
as
ma'am.
to maybe why parents might be attracted to this school versus our schools. And I don't know if that has to do with overcrowding or not. but I was just curious. Thank you.
Member Gray?
In this case, I have a concern, a few concerns. The demographics, I guess if we look at equity, and I'd like to think that all of our public schools, inclusive charter schools, have a demographic that's representative of our population. Sadly, when I look at the free and reduced lunch, students with disabilities, we're looking at the students with disabilities, 7.2%, English language learners, 2.6%, African American Black, 4%, majority 69.9% white, small percentage of Hispanic, actually a little bit larger than the ESE, which should make sense, 20.2%. Did not really change much. This is 2018. 2019, still those demographics are not representative of our schools, certainly not in Dover. And I am troubled that we are approving a renewal of a school that hasn't moved the needle of equity one single solitary bit. Excuse me. The Hispanic went up for 2%, from 20% to 22%. I'm also concerned that I have anecdotal reports from the feeder schools that these kids going to this school are not academically prepared. And I was out there not long ago. That's just anecdotal. But also the other problem I see, and this is actually marked on their survey or on their grading report, is the lack of community outreach, lack of community. To me sounds, well, it is, we hear it from our own schools, but we're working on it. I'd like to know, and I know Chinzey's not here, I'd like to know what they're doing to improve what they lack in terms of community outreach. Because if we're not addressing the very population, Dover is there's a lot of migrant Hispanic. There's a tremendous amount of English language learners. When are we going to say to everybody in this nation, we have to have schools that represent the population which they serve? And this does not. So I'm going to have to say no to this renewal. And that's where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gray. Member Washington?
I had an opportunity to go visit the school. The community outreach out there, it's like not any communities or houses around that school too much. So a lot of those kids come from other areas, because I was out there. I went out there for about an hour or two a month or two ago to visit. So I guess when we're talking about community, we're talking about around in that area. And they have it's not in their homes around in that area. So those kids come from all around in that area. They're not necessarily houses around there where they come from, like you have a community school like Milton High School or a school like that. It's a little bit different. I just wanted to add that on when we were talking about community portion of it.
So if I can.
Thank you, Member Washington. Member Gray?
Yeah, I just want to respond. So just to be clear, actually, Member Combs and I went out to this area, Dover. I visit Dover Elementary School on almost a biweekly basis, but we know that the migrant community out there is real. We know that they have very little attention. And if, again, community outreach, then they need to do a better job. If they don't have community outreach in their neighborhood, yes, there's not a Walmart, there's not a CVX, but maybe they just, in my opinion, they have to do a better job. Where our schools are, Dover Elementary School, they have a tremendous amount of community buy-in. I mean, they have community folks in there that is right up the block. So I'm very familiar with that area. I respectfully do not agree on the community outreach. I have one school that does a tremendous job, and then 4 miles away is Independence. And they're actually, this is not made up for me. This is right on their grade, their score.
Thank you, Member Gray. Member Vaughn?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can't speak for Tomlin and Bailey, but Dover and Burnett are both my schools, and I've been out to both of those. Burnett is not at maximum capacity, nor is Dover Elementary. Both of them are very involved with their community. The neighborhoods butt up right against Dover Elementary. You can see houses from Dover Elementary, and Burnett as well are very engaged in their community. Burnett is the one who reached out and asked for a school-wide book read to support their community, which the Hillsborough Education Society funded. So both of them are heavily active in their communities, and absolutely not overcrowded. Just to answer some of Dr. Hahn's concerns. I can't speak to the other two. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Superintendent Davis?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Vaughn is completely correct. So to be able to answer the question that Dr. Hahn asked, Bailey Elementary is at 75% capacity. Dover Elementary is at 73% capacity. Burnett Middle School is 59% capacity, and Tomlin is at 89% capacity. So definitely room at every one of these schools to be able to increase student stations, and we'll continue to make sure we recruit our students actively.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. Mr. Jim Porter?
Yes, board members, I will remind you that this is a renewal of an existing charter contract, and this is governed by Florida statutes. So the charter has already been approved. The charter itself was approved earlier, the idea for the school, and it's been renewed. In order to not renew it, you need to tie it to the statutes. And I want to read to you what those criteria are. This comes out of Florida statutes for non-renewal of an existing charter. I'll read them again. It's important that you all understand this. The charter shall make student academic achievement for all students the most important factor when determining whether to renew or terminate the charter. So this charter has this letter grade of a B. The sponsor may also choose to not renew or may terminate the charter if the sponsor finds that one of the grounds set forth below exists by clear and convincing evidence, which is a legal standard. Number one, failure to participate in the state's education accountability system as required by this section, or failure to meet the requirements of student performance stated in the charter. Number two, failure to meet generally accepted standards of fiscal management. Number three, material violation of law. Or number four, other good cause shown. So again, those are the legal standards that you have to sort of assess whether to approve or renew this contract or not. You'll recall that in the past, the board has taken a path where they've chosen to not renew and to not approve, and there were ramifications from the state. And we would be facing that again. And you just need to understand that if you do not want to renew this, you need to tie it to a specific statute and be very clear on the record what you're basing your decision on.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. I have a quick question. Are we able to renew 2 years instead of 5 years?
I think the superintendent, the answer is no. But
The answer is no, because this is a mutual agreement that the school district and the charter have to engage in. So we agree upon the termination or the duration of the renewal, and the 5 years is a recommendation from the independent academy in this particular contract.
Are there any consequences if there's a motion to just pass it for 5 years?
I believe that answer to be yes.
I'm sorry, yes. So again, as you said, this is a contract between two parties. So that's that's what you're voting on today.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Porter. Are there any other questions or comments? Please vote when your lights appear. The motion passes 4-2 with Member Vaughn and Member Gray descending. Thank you. Voting against it. Correct? Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on. We're done with the consent agenda items. We will now be discussing the informational items. 10:03 Hillsborough County Public Schools Charter Office Annual Report. Superintendent Davis will highlight this item.
Yes, ma'am. This is a report that we bring to the board for all of our public charter schools that serve within our school district. This is a snapshot of each charter that identifies their demographics, their financial status, district comparison, their overall academic performance, looking at their school information and looking at their configuration, if they have any particular title status or any services that they offer. and just bringing an overview so that, our board and our community can have a one-stop shop related to a snapshot of every one of the schools. This is really it's not statutory required, but it is a part of best practices identified by the Florida Principle of Standards for authorizers. We are authorizers of charter schools, so bringing this information alongside district imperatives to have at your fingertips.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. Are there any comments? Okay, next item is 1201, final long-range school planning study. Superintendent Davis will highlight this item.
Yes, ma'am. In July 27, 2021, we have a preliminary findings from Tyndall Oliver. And this is this is through an approved work statement from Tyndall Oliver, the board that received it, went out for RFP for general planning services. And what this does is really look at overall growth and projected enrollment, maintenance needs, capacity needs of our school district. And then once again, talks about the growth in particular areas in our school district, identifying 18 schools to be built in the next 15 years, where those particular locations are. And it gives heat maps of the county to identify those particular locations. We do know that, annually we see that Hillsborough County is projected to grow from 2021 to 2045 on a 1.1%, being able to bring 19,000 newcomers to our community, and then us being really prepared for that longevity to be able to scope out and identify a plan for build and how we'll use funding to do so.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. Next item is 1202, Collins Pre-K-8, evaluation of consistency finding. Superintendent Davis will highlight this item.
Yes, ma'am. This is, once again, no board action is needed, but just being transparent and validating our relationship with the BOCC to be able to identify how we will be expanding and adding a addition to Collins Elementary School or 534 new instructional seats, which will bring them at 1,566 students related to their elementary and middle school as we transition from elementary to a K-8.
Thank you, Superintendent Davis. We will now move on to board comments. We will begin with Member Hahn.
Thank you, Member Combs. So I just want to highlight a few things that have kept me busy the last couple of weeks. 2 weekends ago, as I mentioned earlier this evening, we had the Early Childhood Literacy Fair at Lanier Elementary School, and we had close to 500 children attend the fair and receive home libraries. That included 4 books and a parent letter with some activity ideas that I provided to each of the children. We also had a large number of community partners who shared resources with families. We had live music that made the event lots of fun. I dressed up as Ready Freddy. Kept me warm. It was a little chilly and rainy that morning, so in an attempt to stay warm, I put on the Ready costume. And we had just a great fun morning. And to reach that many families in a 2.5-hour block is a big impact, and it just always really fills my heart. But I wanted to thank some folks who really made that day special and possible. I have an Early Childhood Literacy Fair Planning Committee, and they all work side by side with me to make this event a reality. So I'd like to thank Anne-Marie Courtney, as well as Sharon O'Connor, Ray Pageant, my secretary, Linda Ortiz, John Bergman, John Milburn, Debbie Pepe, Julian Dave Cole, Michelle Rogers, Angela Schroden, Tracy Bergman, and Daniela Simic and Laura Cross. Couldn't do it without them, that's for sure. They have such phenomenal ideas. But what really makes this event so special is not me standing there with books, but really all the community and partners that join me out there a few times a year to share their resources and show their love and support to our children and families. So I just want to take a moment to thank Dustin Portillo from Casper's McDonald's, the Lightning Foundation, Children's Board, the Early Learning Coalition, Hillsborough Ed Foundation, YMCA, Best the Book Bus, Seniors in Service, Mayan, Hillsborough County Public Schools Early Learning, and FACE, the Hammerhead Steel Drums, Tampa Family Health Centers, and Glazer Vision. We have 2 more fairs planned for this year after the holidays. And those were just the partners that joined us 2 weeks ago. There's probably another 5 to 10 partners that will be joining us for the other 2 fairs. So really excited about that. So stay tuned. I know, Pablo, did you have a little video to show? Just it's like 45 seconds. So that just gives you a little taste of what it was like that day. And it's really great to be able to just chat with the parents, and they're always excited. And many of them have visited our fairs multiple times. So you don't necessarily have to go to that, to the particular school that our fair is at. You can come from anywhere in our community and come out to the fair and get some books. Each child not only went away with my home library, but many of our partners give out books, really beautiful, and so does our school district, beautiful hardcover books. They probably, and the book bus is there. They probably go away with about a dozen brand new books in that short period of time. So, and then the container for their home library. So it's a fun event. Last week, I also kicked off my STREAM initiative, which is, I know everyone's used to STEM or STEAM. This is STREAM because I add the R for reading. So it's science, technology, reading, engineering, art, and math. I spent 3 days at Anderson Elementary. I think there's a photo to share, just a little collage of the students. This was done in partnership with the YMCA host, the Tampa Housing Authority, and Dr. Holmquist Johnson, who provided the training to the teachers. And we taught children how to program robots within the context of the book, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. And it was a lot of fun. I want to thank Dustin Portillo from Casper's McDonald's. He came out, it was a 3-day event. He came out on the 3rd day and gifted every child with a hardcover copy of the Very Hungry Caterpillar book, as well as Happy Meals and smiley faces. So that was very generous of Casper's McDonald's and Dustin for his time. The kids, he just is so great with the kids. So I also want to thank Principal Sierra for hosting the event. I'm doing another STREAM event at Sharamonte Elementary School. The really exciting thing is, this was just going to be me kind of traveling with my little STEM robots school to school. But the YMCA after school program, the Tampa Housing Authority, who lent us the roamers to do this event. So thank you so much, Tampa Housing Authority, and our own host program are interested in now replicating this event across every after school program in our district. So it will reach thousands of students, and they can do it with any book. And I'm just super excited about that. The last thing, I was really fortunate to, and did you put the picture up, Paulo, of the STREAM thing, the STREAM event? Okay. And then the last thing, if you just indulge me a moment, I attended the executive partnership review for Mayan last week. And, Mayan's been a great partner around my literacy efforts. So I just want to share a little bit about the impact they have on the community. It's their 10-year anniversary with Hillsborough County Public Schools. And so just to give you a sense, the books accessed over the last 10 years are over 49 million. The books read are over 21 million, and the total books accessed are over 70 million books over the last 10 years. And because of the community-wide access to digital books, our children have seamlessly been able to continue accessing digital books from school and home. And some of the things they do, especially in the early childhood space, is they support they support our schools, obviously in our pre-K programs, but they also support over 27 private and community-based preschools. They also provide professional development sessions to the BOCC Head Start centers, and they do come out and support the literacy fairs. And we've all really shown our passion and commitment to improving early childhood education in this district. And with the numbers being, really unfortunately, what they are, which is 51% of the students entering our kindergarten classrooms, are not showing that they have kindergarten readiness skills. And I know I'm talking fast because I'm making time. This type of work is having an impact in helping those students that are in the Head Start classrooms, that are in these private community-based preschools, get some of these early reading skills. And they also have support for parents so that when they come to our kindergartens, they are kindergarten ready and they have stronger skills. So thank you to Mayan. Happy 10-year anniversary. And thank you for the extra time.
Thank you, Member
Oh,
Hahn.
and there's the picture of the event. I'm sorry, at Anderson.
Thank you so much, Member Hahn. Member Gray?
And I want to say thank you also, a big appreciation, Member Hahn, for your work with the literacy. I know that it makes such a difference and you've put a big footprint on that. So even though I was shuffling papers, I want to just acknowledge that as well. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 3 announcements, not as illustrative as Member Hahn, but I think I have one illustration. First off, I want to just put my big sense of gratitude towards the Rotary Club and Kevin Beckner for establishing the flags for Hillsborough's Heroes, which was a Veterans Memorial Park event, which I know most board members went to a veterans. I think you went to a veterans parade as well, Member Combs. So I just think that this was just a very important event. Every veterans event is so critical that we are reminded of our troops anytime we can in our military. My nephew, as I mentioned, is a Ranger right now in active service in Afghanistan. So that meant a lot to me on a personal level. Next, big time thank you with, and Shay Washington, you're in this little spiel. I want to thank always Fred Hearns, but we know that the Thurgood Marshall Club, thank you, Mr. Connor and Addison Davis for promoting this, and Miss Burkett. We want this to happen. It is happening, and a big thank you to not only those three, but Allison Edgecombe, who's really helping format that. You've been such wonderful advocates for the Black History Task Force, and it's just amazing where we've gone. And I think I mentioned Fred Hearns, but also member Shake Washington. Your joining this has been just a wonderful addition, and I want to thank you as well for your contributions. Upcoming is the Big Brain Bowl, the HAPSB, and that is the Hillsborough Alliance of Black School Educators, and that's coming. Shake, what month is that? Is that February? We're doing February. And you'll all get invitations, and that's led by Keisha Parham. Thank you, Keisha. And then we have, I have a picture. Pablo, you're on it. Well, hold on just a second. I got to give a little talk here. So Melissa Margado and Monica Vera Torrado, this is also tipping your hat because you do so much with diversity. But also join hands with Lisa Placco and their great grants team. And they have been awarded ka-ching, $1.7 million from the U.S. Department of Defense education activity. And what's going on is we're going to have a Spanish language immersion program that will address gaps in world languages at 4 district elementary schools: Dawson, Lanier, Summerfield, and West Shore. I thought also, didn't we have Barrington as a middle school? I thought that was included because I have a visit, but maybe not. At any rate, this is not a commonality of school districts anywhere, but it is of ours. A great work from, again, I just thank Lisa Placco and her grant team, but this is going to be another way of integrating the demographics that we have into curriculum and into meaningful cultural relationships between the families and our teachers, and most importantly, impact the well-being of our Hispanic students. Yeah, here it is. It says Barrington and Randall Middle Schools in Robinson. Yeah, thanks. So is this what the video looks like, Pablo? I thought we had some pictures, but okay. We'll try to get some photos next time. Other than that, that's enough for right now. Again, the Hispanic Forum, I can't thank all those players enough because we are really putting together a lot of great embellishments, primary resources for our Hispanic population to reach 50% in 5 years. So you got to get going there, Ms. Monica Villatoro, as you know. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Gray. Member Perez?
Thank you. I'm going to keep mine short and sweet. I have infection and just don't want to say too much. I'm going to be having a crucial conversation, the lack of hygiene products in low socioeconomic areas on Friday, and that's going to be via the Facebook Live, November 19th at 6 p.m. And I just want to wish everyone a wonderful holiday, Thanksgiving. Be safe and enjoy your families and just have a nice time off.
Thank you, Member Perez. Member Vaughn?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I want to thank Member Hahn for her passionate work around literacy. I'm also passionate about literacy, and it's so great to see the work that she continues to do to that and her dedication. It's so important, especially for our young students. Next, I want to kind of reiterate what Member Perez has said and just talk about the upcoming holiday. And, you know, as I always do, thank our staff members who have worked tirelessly, our educators, our admins, our staff here, all of our school staff. Everybody needs this break. And so I hope that everyone has a safe and joyful break and gives them a chance to recharge. As we go into the holiday, you know, I think it's important that we do talk about food insecurity. And if there's any ways to volunteer or get food to your local food banks, Feeding Tampa Bay, Metropolitan Ministries, while many of us are lucky enough to have food and spend time with our families, there's always members of our community who go without food. So I would encourage you, if you have the resources, to reach out to those organizations, because I would like us as a district to talk about and address food insecurity going forward. And then finally, this is, not something necessarily that I wanted to end with, but I think it's something that we need to talk about. And I know my fellow board members don't like anything sprung on them, so I'm going to do kind of an introduction. Personally, I'm very concerned about the recent rise in hate-filled and personal attacks that have been directed at public officials, especially at school board members. Everyone in here, all of the school board members, we've experienced this, and we know it's happening across the country and in other school board meetings. We've seen the level of vitriol grow on social media platforms where people devote whole pages to hating public officials and spreading lies and hate-filled messages. I am personally a strong personal defender of the of the First Amendment, of engagement in our board meetings, of the public engaging with us. I think that we are civil servants, and that's what we sign up for. And I also think that as elected officials, we have to develop a thicker skin to personal attacks. However, there's a huge difference between denouncing an elected official for a vote or a policy position or assailing them and their families with abusive and threatening attacks, much less lies and personal attacks. A recent headline in the Washington Post read, "Death threats, online abuse, police protection, school board members face a dark new reality." I think it's important for this board, our superintendent, for all of us to take a stand against this kind of unacceptable behavior. We need to do everything we can as elected officials to restore a level of civility in our public discourse. I would like to have an item placed on our next agenda to formally denounce this growing problem. Therefore, I move that a proclamation denouncing online abuse, cyberbullying, personal attacks, and threats against school board members and staff be placed on the next board agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Vaughn. Member Washington? Oh, yes.
There's a motion. So if we could, if you could clear the board, Pablo. So, and we'll get back with Mr. Washington. So there's a motion. It would require a second. She's asking that an item be placed on the agenda for the next meeting, a proclamation. She read it, but denouncing basically cyberbullying and attacks. And that will be something that you would vote on at the next meeting if you're interested in having that. So there's a second by Ms. Perez. And now if you want to allow discussion, or you could do that and then vote on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Member Hahn has a question.
The vote would be to put it on the agenda. It's not a substantive vote.
We see like a draft of the
Yes.
okay ahead of time.
Yes.
Obviously. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions?
Yeah, and voting for this does not compel you to vote for the actual proclamation at the time. It's an opportunity for it to be placed in front of you for deliberation and consideration. So you're not voting for that. You're just voting for it to be discussed publicly.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Porter, for your clarification. Are there any comments or questions? Member Gray?
Thank you, Member Vaughn, for bringing this up. Actually, Superintendent Davis, I did bring up too, there's a clear and present, perhaps danger too, that we're exposed as board members and our staff sitting here, that the cycle of elections coming up, and there have been threats. We have had that happen to board members in this, right on this dais. And I also, in conjunction with a proclamation, I will ask again for more security to protect. And I say the staff members, they're sitting right here, and board members and yourself, because I do think that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And if we don't face up to the reality now, I would hate for something to happen and then have to face up. So I will extend that request, and of course we can talk about that. And board members, I hope that you'll join in and saying what you want to say to Superintendent Davis on that vein. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gray. If there are no additional comments, please vote when your lights are on.
For the proclamation.
For
Put it on the agenda for next week.
it passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
And if we could restore Mr. Washington and Chair Combs to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Washington.
Thank you very much. I've been to a lot of schools. I'm just going to do just one tonight. Getting kind of late. We're going to do one, and this is really exciting. I know everybody out there love it, and I know you do. So I had the opportunity to really visit Roland Park Magnet School, and I had the opportunity to talk to the students. They're elected student government, and boy, I tell you, they have some. So I wanted them to tell me about what do they think we need to do. And they number one, you know what their number one priority was? Teacher pay raises. They say we want to know why our teachers are not making much money. And we went from K, it went from 3 to 8. So this little girl in the 3rd grade was really adamant about teachers making money. So I explained to them about the BSA, the teachers pay. So this Friday, I'm going by the school again. They're going to write letters to the governor to increase teachers' pay and school employees' pay. They are really advocate about, they love their teachers. They said they should be making more money. So one kid said, you know, they should be making a lot of money because they have to put up with us. So I go, you're probably right, you know. But I was really excited. I enjoyed, and you know, it's very good when you go to visit a school and let the students give you input, what they think. I mean, that's the best way. When I go to a school, I want to talk to the students, then the teachers, but I want to talk to the students first. So I was so excited about those students. They really, for a whole hour, they kept the things that we need to do. You know, we need to have, what can we do about students who misbehave? You know, they know, I mean, but they're there. And that consequence is not very good either. They have some harsh consequences about what should be done. So, but I enjoyed Scott Weaver was the principal. I stayed there a period of time. So I really had a great time. And also, I just want to add, we had a chance, Shay and I, we went to a really, really nice school. And you know, I got to say this. Sometimes you look at grades. grades is not an indicator how well a school is running many times. That's why it's so important for you to go visit these schools so you can see how hard teachers are working. The students are doing their very best in the school to make it be a successful school. They're well behaved. Now, we do have some that's not, and we do have some schools, but majority, the schools that we go to in the transformation, they are really working hard. And I just want to thank those teachers as well as those principals and administrators at the school for doing a great job. And also I want to say, I hope everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Member Washington. Just a couple things. First and foremost, I just want to thank all the school board members for your faith in me and choosing and voting me as chair. I am really humbled, and my life work has been about public education, and I feel very, very humbled to be in this position and to really work and unite and continue to unite this board and work towards making sure every child has an opportunity in Hillsborough County Public Schools, that we start early and we really look at the whole child all the way through. So I just want to say thank you. I just wanted to mention a couple things. Veterans Day, I just had such a great experience at the Veterans Day Parade at Town and Country. I was able to really go out and see my community and meet my community, as well as visiting Mary Bryant. They had this amazing Veterans Day presentation where we had so many grandfathers, fathers, uncles, brothers. It was great to see so many children out there celebrating veterans. And I could tell that they were just happy to have some kind of normalcy in their life. So that was really amazing. A few events, and I really believe that we really need to continue working out and working in our community. The CEO in schools, I had an incredible experience with Principal Alvarez at Alexander Elementary, spending the day there from the very morning until the rainy day when we release the students, and to see all those teachers getting wet, getting their kids into the classroom was just amazing. You could really see a community feeling there. Also to the West Chase Gals, which is an organization that last month they organized and supported Oak Park Elementary. Just last week, we went out to James Elementary to support them with some new books. Also, Carrollwood Area Business Association, a CABA meeting. I was able to speak to about 50 of their members. And then finally, yesterday, I was with Victor Fernandez and Frank Diaz, the principal at Webb Middle School, and we spoke to about 150 ELL students about our experiences. All three of us were born overseas, and we all were able to have the American dream. So it really was about, just being persistent and trying to make those good choices. And finally, to Larry Plank and the DRT team, I was able to go out to the Science Olympics at Mosey. It's great to see that. Gosh, it was amazing. The competitions, I plan on being there for an hour. I ended up spending like 2.5 hours there. The kids were so excited about science and really hands-on all the way from kindergarten to 5th grade. We saw children so excited, and then kids crying because they were so close to winning. To see the excitement of science and to see kids out there and families was just amazing. And finally, those people who know me, Thanksgiving is my absolute favorite holiday because it is really about gratitude. And I just hope that everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. And no further comments. This meeting is adjourned.
Good evening. I'm not going to be here before you long. For those that have continued to watch this stream throughout, thank you. I'm glad that we have this platform, just because not really sure why the district decided to stop streaming to social media platforms, but I digress. I just want y'all to just kind of mark today in history. I want you guys to make notes. I want you to notice the alliances and who's with who and how that all works out, because it's going to play a big part in redistricting. So you have a blessed night. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.